Boom. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back together. Welcome to the Foxing Around podcast. I'm your host, Raymond Fox.
And I'm your co-host, Reuben Thomas.
Hey, we got another exciting episode for you guys tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're super excited about our special guest coming through in a short few minutes. What's been up, bro? Damn, it's been a minute since we sat down and did this together, man. I'm really blessed to be able to do this with you right now.
Yeah, bro, for sure, man. What's up with you, man? I see you got a haircut, you got a new whip. What else is going on?
Hey, bro, I'm just living life to the fullest, man. I watched some YouTube clips, bro, and I was watching. I don't know. I just got into some deep web stuff, but I watched Bruce Lee, and he was like, "Be like water." You know, what happens when water is in the cup? It becomes the cup. What happens when water goes into a teapot? It becomes the teapot, right? So I'm just flowing like the water, man, doing what I do, bro. What you been on, man? Damn, that's a fresh. How about that, brother?
Typically, it already has bugs, but we do have a bunch of new Foxing Around hats, and we still have some hoodies and stuff on their way. Ask her if he uses walls. Nah, just destroys them. Just kidding. Anyways, good evening. They're back together. Raymond looks fresh. Yeah, bro, you do look fresh.
Hey, much love, Bruce Tree. Thank you for that, brother. Hey, thank you guys for joining us. If you could do us a quick favor, man, and don't take too much of your time, give this video a like, share it on your page, and let's get this thing popping, man. I'm super excited about our guest here tonight. We actually connected with him through Instagram. How I watched him, bro, I watched this dude on Instagram like running, like not just like walking, not speed. This guy was running through LA, bro. Like just like, you know, that one guy that like runs marathons and then he's like talking at the same time, motivating everybody.
David Goggin.
Bro, this is the native David Goggin right here. I swear to God, bro. No cap. This guy, I was like, damn, man, I don't know anything about this dude, but I want to know more, man. I was really excited. I told River about it. We looked him up on YouTube. We found some old YouTube clips. We followed a little bit of his Instagram. He's a hell of a man. So without further ado, man, we're going to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, Reuben Crowfeather. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, brothers? How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, we're doing great, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Hey, man. So what you been up to, bro? Like, obviously, I see you moving around a lot. You're doing a lot of stuff. What's been up since like COVID hit, and what you been doing? Like, what's Big Boob been up to?
Oh man, life-changing year. It's been a ride. 2020, 2021's off to a great start. You know, since you asked about since like COVID time hit, COVID, and the same time as COVID was hitting, George Floyd got murdered over in Minneapolis. And so that kind of set off one hell of a summer for myself. I also went to a few Sundances. We all powwows stopped. We had a few powwows of our own. We had a powwow for his 25th birthday. We had a powwow May 4th for him. We had a round dance in the hood. It was right at my job site, right on Cedar, right smack dab in the hood. And so we had like all the best singers in Minnesota over there. We had a powwow at Little Earth, a graduation powwow in Craig, South Dakota. We had a birthday powwow in Oneida, Wisconsin, Green Bay. So our summer was even though the COVID, we kept the dance alive, and then it was a great year. In September, I moved to California, which was a life-changing experience. I've never left home. I'm 45 years old. I never moved away from home, and so this is my first time. I'm currently in Santa Rosa, California.
Hey.
I got to shout out Mia Motor Lucero, my watching. I got to shout out my boy family. I got to shout out my Crow Dog Paradise family. Got to shout out all the brothers and sisters back in South Minneapolis. Oh,
Oh, brother. Damn, man. That's a hell of an intro. So tell us a little bit about Reuben Crowfeather, man. Where'd you grow up? I know out in Minnesota. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up, how you grew up, what were you doing out in Minnesota, brother?
Okay. Well, I was born on 24th and 15th, Deaconess Hospital, East Phillips community in Minneapolis. Everybody that's original South Minneapolis natives, they were all born at Deaconess Hospital. From Deaconess Hospital, I went a few blocks over to the little community, and since I was born until, uh, 20, and my mom moved out to Shakopee at that in 1997, and myself, Wisconsin, just across the border to a community called Maple Plain, where I had two beautiful children, Reuben and Shailene. So shout out to my children, Reuben and Shailene.
Hey.
I came back to Minneapolis in 2000. I had another son, Jaden. So shout out to Jaden. And that was in 2002. And I lived in the Shakopee community for roughly 18 years. And so shout out to the Shakopee community. Shout out to them. But I packed up my bags and I headed to California.
Damn, bro, that's dope. That's dope. So, I know a little bit about your story. I guess from just reading a few things and just following your Instagram and stuff. Man, you had a pretty life changing experience with the federal prison system and the your incarceration, man. Tell us a little bit about that, man, and tell the people that maybe don't know or what they do know, the people that do know what it's like, man, and how'd you get through that part of your life, brother?
Okay, well, it's a long story. That's a big question. Going right into it, right?
Yeah, brother.
Federal prison system. Well, for one, I was very ignorant to the federal laws and the federal system. In reservations in the United States, all major crime act, they fall under federal law, and so our young men and young women are shipped off to federal prison at a very young age. Myself coming from the city, the urban life, where you really have to get some attention, earn some attention before you get a federal case. And so I guess you could say I made some waves. I garnered some attention. They got their eye on me, and they did what they had to do to put me away, take me off the streets, and in I guess in their eyes. My charge was a conspiracy to distribute marijuana, and it was a conspiracy charge, and I was a one-man conspiracy. I have no co-defendants. So basically, the federal government offered people who had already caught cases time off of their sentences to go to a grand jury to charge me with some kind of crime. The federal government, when they come in for you, you know it. I knew it. I knew they're coming for me, and they were what you call a witch hunt. It's, a witch hunt. And when they finally did charge me, I asked them, why are you doing this to me? I said, who sells drugs in my community? Who commits random acts of violence in my community? And I've done some things, that garnered some attention. I've been involved in some violent activity, you could say, violence towards my family. Myself, I've never been charged with a crime of violence in my life. Not for no. I've never been charged with any weapons. And I told them, why are you coming after me? You know who sells drugs in my community. You know who the gang members are in my community, but they're working for you, but you chose to come and get me. So, I look at the bigger picture, bigger reasons why they targeted me. And you kind of skipped a lot, to get to where I got targeted right about the federal system. But so I ended up getting charged with this conspiracy to distribute marijuana. And I had never been caught with any marijuana. More than like a half ounce of marijuana was the most I've ever been found in possession of. I never had a controlled sale. I never had a controlled buy. And they gave me 70 months in federal prison and 48 months of federal paper. And in the system, I didn't meet too many people who had the people would laugh at me like, "Daddy charged you with marijuana?" They're all there for, for crack and heroin and cocaine and methamphetamines. And from my community in Little Earth in the Minneapolis area, there's a lot there at the time back in, the early 2000s when all this was going down with me, a lot of big time drug trade. Why did they pick me out of all the people in our community to take away from the community? And I believe at the time I had sobriety, I had spirituality, and I had leadership. And so it was it's my belief that they understood that, and so they took me out of the streets, they took me away from the community, and they put in the people that they wanted to put in, and they caused chaos in the community. And I went to prison, and I came back, and I've been working in the community to bring peace, I guess you could say.
Hey, bro.
I'm gonna let you guys ask questions because I can talk.
Hey.
Yeah, no. That sorry for interrupting. No, that's dope as hell. So Camilla Harris threw you in prison for weed. No, just kidding. That's a meme going around, bro. It's she was criminalizing everybody bunch of years just for weed possession, right? But yeah. So what happened with the whole George Floyd thing? You brought that up briefly, and that's kind of what started a movement for you. You want to tell us more about that?
Not so much a movement for me, I would say, but so we can go back to talking a little bit about our community, the Little Earth community, and also so the Little Earth community is the first off-reservation native housing in the United States. Okay, and so we have a large population of indigenous Native American people. Much like you guys are in Canada, so all your cities are like that, right?
Yeah.
But down here in the United States, they really wiped us out bad. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different than Canada. The United States, outside of like LA and a few other cities, Seattle, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Denver, Colorado, Rapid City. Aside from those cities, maybe Phoenix, Arizona, there's not very many native populations in the urban populations, right? And so our community, East Phillips, falls in the 3rd precinct, and the 3rd precinct is pretty much had brought the birth of the American Indian movement. And the American Indian movement was born in Stillwater Prison and incubated in East Phillips on Franklin Avenue. And the American Indian movement we're making a stand not just for the rights of Native Americans, but against police brutality that was going on in South Minneapolis at the time. And that same precinct, the 3rd precinct, is the same precinct that killed George Floyd. And so we've been dealing with these cops ever since I was born. I've witnessed my dad beaten twice. Myself, I've been beaten by the police. When we come out of the house, it's like cat and mouse. You know what I mean? Their racial profiling is the worst. Missing and murdered Indian women. The police were raping our Native women. They were abusing our people. And so we got a long history with the 3rd precinct with the American Indian movement.
Damn, man. So did you have like an early disdain? Were you always afraid of cops growing up? Like even when you were a young man, seeing all that violence that they committed towards your family members, towards your community, like, and nobody's kind of helping you. Everyone's turning a blind eye to it. Was it hard? Like,
Oh, it's very hard. And I would tell people, I'd be like, I would try to cry for help all the time. And people would be like, oh, we're like um, uh, exaggerating the experiences that we were going through. But literally, when we came out of the house, they would be ready to shake us down, beat us down, harass us, incarcerate us, plant evidence on us. You know, if they needed to. There are many cases of planting evidence on Native Americans, killing us, Native Americans. You know, they killed a lot more than just George Floyd. You know, they killed a lot of Native Americans over there on the south side of Minneapolis. 1996, in Minneapolis, we had the highest murder rate per capita in the country, and so that the time was a very, very violent time, very violent time.
damn, man. Did you lose a lot of friends your age, like at the time, or like, you know, a lot of your friends are going away to prison and stuff like that? What was there a lot of, you know, did you see like your friends going away and not knowing what to do about it?
Yeah, since a very young age, county homeschool is where they were taken. Um, you go back to right around the time I'm 13, 14, all of a lot of my friends, relatives, they're joining gangs. And we had a gang that came from out of Chicago, and they're known as the Conservative Vice Lord Nation, which was a black gang. And they came into our community and started recruiting young boys for their gang. And um, from that was birthed. Us, they gave a chapter to the Native Americans, and they called it Native Mob Vice Lords. And so from that came a lot of gang activity with another gang in the community known as the Native Gangster Disciples. And so as a young person, um, it was a very violent time. Um, uh, my first close friend that was murdered, Evan Denny, to this day, nobody has been charged for his murder. We have a lot of rumors of who did it, but they executed him. He was 17 at the time, I believe. He was murdered in the community, and it just felt like it could happen to any one of us, you know, because he was one of us. One of us being uh, uh, the boys singers, the Heart of the Earth singers. You go back to our teenage years, we're a drum group. I'm a member of a drum group. And so our drum group navigating through the gangland was what we were going through. We were just trying to make it to the powwow season. You know, we were just trying to make it, you know, get up out of the hood. And the hood was a very violent place.
Yeah. Do you feel like you know, powwow and music in general kind of kept you level headed and kept you away from those, you know, those times where it is getting really violent? Did powwow, you know, mean a lot to you?
Oh, powwow was everything to to me and my brothers, and it was our escape. It was our escape from a very violent reality. And you know, at the age of 18 was the first time we got to travel to Canada as a drum group. We went to Soto, Saskatchewan. We went to a powwow, and here we are. We're from the hood. We're from Little Earth. Here we are, and we're in Soto, Canada, and we're singing against all the best drum groups in Canada. You know, High Noon, Whitefish Juniors, Battle Creek, Black Stone, Black Lodge, all these drum groups. And here we are, you know, 18 years old, 16 years old, 15 years old, 14 years old. My little brothers were pretty young. Myself, I was like the fourth oldest of 10. And so powwows, of course, were our escape. We love to sing, and so yeah.
Yeah, bro. Soto, Saskatchewan. That's where I originate from. Stuff
Really?
that you came. Yeah, bro. When did he come through?
That was 1995.
Damn, I was just born then,
Yeah, bro.
bro.
Same here. That's the year I was born, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we traveled to Soto. We got third place that weekend.
Hey, so you went to Soto? Did you see the big lighthouse? The big lighthouse by the lake there. There's two
No, I don't
lakes.
remember. I
Jack
don't remember that, bro.
You don't remember that? Nah, bro. That's God's country right there, bro. That's Creator's land. It's the greatest land out there, bro.
Hey, go ahead, bro.
So yeah, no, you asked the questions like, okay, so this is my first time ever like going like on a podcast or telling my story, or it feels like I haven't shown my face in a long time to the public, and so to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous.
Hey, that's all good, bro. We're always nervous doing this too. We don't know what to expect. So anytime you feel like jumping in, yeah. What's up? Can you hear us?
Froze up.
Hold up. One sec. You good? Can you hear us now?
Can you hear me, Ray?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey, hold up.
Hold on, we're having difficulty.
We're having technical difficulties. 1 second. You got it, bro? You can hear us? No, nothing.
How does
What up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can't hear you guys.
Oh man.
Hold up.
Hold up.
Can you hear me?
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. We can. No, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. 1 sec. Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? Can you hear us?
Says it's coming through
Yeah.
right here.
Can you guys hear us out there? Yeah, we could hear you. Yeah, we could hear you. Hold up. Sec. What the heck happened? You'll have to give us 1 second.
Say how
Yes.
Black guy.
Aw.
White table
I can't hear you guys.
Damn, bro. What the heck? 1 sec. 1 sec. I'm gonna go make sure.
Time up.
Can you hear
Wait,
me?
raising up. Yeah, bro, we can hear you.
I can't hear you guys.
Oh, okay.
Shit. Oh, 1 sec.
1 sec. All right, hold up, everybody. Yeah, y'all can hear us out there. Give us 1 sec. We're having technical difficulties. Yeah, bro, this is going great, man. This guy is so interesting. This is a crazy interview.
Yeah, bro. All
There
right,
we
so
go.
you can hear us.
Hold up. Let's hear him. Yeah, they can hear us out there.
Okay.
Hey, brother, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah, I was just saying, bro, don't worry about being nervous. Don't be worried about cutting us off. You're the guest up here. It's your show, your time. So anytime you feel like you want to take it a little west and just start telling us stories, man, we're just gonna sit down and listen, bro. Because
Yeah, bro. This is a discussion, man. So you can ask us anything you want to, man. It's all love.
Okay, so yeah, like so when I was thinking about like what I wanted to talk about and what I wanted to, the message I wanted to send, I really didn't want to talk about like the past and go into like talking about where I come from and the things that I've been through. And I'm not looking for any kind of sympathy or even empathy or any of those things. I'm more interested in about Tokatakia. Tokatakia is going into the future. And so we can go back. I give a little bit of backstory why I went to federal prison. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. First of all, we do not glorify prison. Prison is not to be glorified. The street life is not to be glorified. The street life is nothing but pain for our families, pain for our community. And what we're about right now is how do we create a better future for our children? And so, you know, you hit me with the backstory. I was kind of nervous about that, you know, speaking about that, you know, a lot of those things I don't even want to share or bring up, and it's hard for me to talk about those things. But so I go to federal prison, and I go to a prison, Oxford, for FCI. It's located in Wisconsin, right?
Right.
And I get there, and the federal government has me pegged as a gang leader, and I'm telling them I deny this 100%. They keep telling me I'm a gang member. I said, no, I'm not. And yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. We're going back and forth. So the federal government is trying to box me in, right?
Right.
And so I was talking about the gang a little bit earlier, right?
Yeah.
And as a young person, you know, my love and my passion was spirituality. My love and my passion was powwows. I began sun dancing in 1990 at the age of 14 at Crow Dog's Paradise. I was educated at the Heart of the Earth Survival School, also South High School, Minneapolis. And I was a member of the Heart of the Earth Singers. I was a member of the Bear Runner Junior Singers, and I was a member of the Boys Singers. And that's my history right there as a teenager. And we had to navigate to make it through some rough situations, you know, within the streets of South Minneapolis. And that was abuse from the cops, and that was abuse from gang members, fear of gang members. Not so much fear, because, you know, it was like a lot of confrontations. But I wouldn't say fear, because I wasn't afraid of none of them, and that kind of made it hard for me. And then in the end, you know, being indicted by the federal government, it was through a lot of gang members who were afraid of me. And I left Minneapolis to have a family. I always wanted to have a family. I wanted to be a father. I wanted to be a husband. I wanted to be a good role model for my children. And so I did that, and I left Minneapolis, and I went to Maple Plain, Wisconsin, and I had 2 beautiful children there. I traveled the powwow circuit for many years, and at the age of 21, like many young people, going through hardships, going through depression, going through oppression, I fell to the bottle. And as a young sun dancer, you know, I made some prayers. I made some commitments. I made the commitments to Tunkashila, you know, that I would never use alcohol. I would abstain from alcohol. Creator Wakantanka, if you answered this prayer here, I will give my life to you. Michichu. Wakantanka Michichu. Creator, I'll give you my life. And so I made those commitments, and I abstained from drinking for my first 21 years of my life. And coming from our background, that was a lot, because there's not too many people. I can name like 2 people within my circle that weren't drinking. You know, everyone was drinking by the age of 14 or 15. And so as a young person, you know, 14 to 15-year-old, me being a spiritual minded young child, I was being bullied, you know. By choosing not to join the gang, I was being bullied. By choosing not to use alcohol, I was being bullied. And I had to, you know, I was little boob, and I had to hold my head high. Like I said, like, I was no fear. I had to really stand my ground. And in the streets of Minneapolis, you know, you really can't show weakness. You know what I mean? You can't let nobody punk you out. You can't nobody really take something from you. You can't let somebody just beat up your brother and walk away from it. You got to hold your head high. And so I did that as a young man. And so the first 21 years, I never touched a drop of liquor. And I ended up getting a couple little jail stints, real petty little jail stints. And in Sisseton, South Dakota, they gave me 4 months for a roach of marijuana. They gave me 4 months. I sat a month and I escaped.
You broke out of prison?
I escaped. I escaped from jail.
Damn,
I,
bro.
I had a warrant on the Siston Wahpeton Reservation for 10 years.
Tell us about that escape, bro. Did he plan it? Were you sitting there like?
Oh, I
What's the
didn't
movie
really
called
plan
again,
it. I
bro?
can tell you a little about it real
Goodwill?
quick. All right, check this out. So there's snow. The snow is on top. It's December. I got arrested at the Veterans Day powwow like November 11th, right?
Yeah.
And true story. I'll tell you from the beginning. I just got out of jail from another powwow in Connecticut, right? And I get out of jail. My family left me in jail. They didn't bail me out. Nobody bailed me out. They're like, let Reuben learn his lesson, da 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 da. And so I finally got out after 45 days on the East Coast, and that was really rough for me. This is my first time in jail. The jail on the East Coast was like I was going back and forth to court, and I was getting strip searched every time going there. When I got there, when I left, when I got back, I would get strip searched. And on the East Coast, they really make you pull up your genitals. They really make you spread your cheeks. They really get up in you, and it's really dehumanizing. You know, for a 20-year-old, you know, for anybody, it's really dehumanizing what the police do to you. And I got out of jail there in Hartford, Connecticut, and I am a hellraiser. I was a hellraiser. I'm not gonna, but you know, I was innocent at the time for real. And, I come home and I have nothing, but I have a muzzle gun. I have a gun. Okay, I had a gun. You know, where I come from, you know, everybody has a gun. You know what I mean? You can't just walk around without a gun. Everybody has a gun over there. I mean, it's very serious. And so I go to this powwow and I leave the gun at Kushi's house, at grandma's house. I don't bring the gun to the powwow. But I'm literally driving there and I'm really depressed. And I'm like looking at these, you know, like I'm like, I could, you know, go rob somebody, do something. I was really desperate. You know, I only had like $15 to get to this powwow. And so I get to the powwow and I stashed the gun at Kushi's house, right? Saturday night, I go out to the 49 and I go out to the 49 and some guys were, you know, getting wild or whatever. They were about to get wild, my big bro. So I put one in the chamber, whatever, make sure everything was good. Put it underneath my front seat. And because I didn't use it, you know, put it away underneath my front seat. Go back to Kushi's house. The next morning, we go to the powwow. The only reason why I brought the gun to the powwow was because I was going to sell it that day. And so, you know, back in those days, I was hustling bud. I was selling weed. You know what I mean? No, you know, for me, you know, I always saw it as, you know, I had to do what I had to do to survive, you know, and everybody else was selling crack and heroin. And there's more to the backstory on that than me just, you know, hustling page. But I was doing what I had to do, you know. And so just getting out of jail, I was broke and I was going to sell the gun, right? And here where we're smoking some doob in the car, and a cop pulls up. I get out of the car. The cop jumps out, gets in my face. He says, "Are you smoking marijuana?" And I'm looking at him dead in the eye, and I say, "Yeah." You know, there's no sense in lying at this point, right? You know, you could tell I was smoking marijuana. And so he says, "Come with me." Okay, takes me to jail. I didn't have no more marijuana, so he couldn't, you know, charge me with any more than just a roach, right? He said, "You got any more marijuana?" I was like, "I just got the roach on the console." He was like, "Get it." So I go in the car, I get my little roach, and I give him the roach, and I locked the door right away because the gun's under the front seat, right? And so they take me off to jail. I'm sitting over in the old agency tribal jail, and I'm shitting bricks because I think they're gonna find this gun. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get in some big trouble. You know, with this handgun underneath my front seat of my car, and I'm not really worried about the marijuana. You know what I mean? The roach is nothing, right? But they ended up stealing my gun. They never charged me with it. The cops stole it. But I go to court, and I I tell the judge, yeah, I got 2 kids and I got a job. I need to get out. I already sat in jail for like 9 days at the time. And the judge goes, bing, and he gave me 4 months. He gave me 4 months for a roach, for marijuana. And so I sat for a month. And so now I'm sitting in tribal jail. And the snow was melting. And the trustee had asked if I could be a trustee. So they made me a trustee too, right? And so I go up on top of the roof to shovel the snow, right? And I come back in, and one of the older guys in the jail, he's one of my dad's bro. You know how that works, you know, when you're on the res. You know what I mean? Everybody on every res knows my dad back in the day. You know, my dad. Shout out to my dad, Larry Crowfeather. And I had a United Tribes champion jacket, and it was cold. It was a cold Sisseton December. You know, it was right before Christmas. And I told the older bro, I said, "Go ahead, Lake Sheep, uncle." I said, "Go ahead, take this jacket." And it was my pride and joy. We just won the United Tribes singing jacket. And he takes the jacket, and I open the door, and he runs out, boom. And he runs past the jailer, boom, he's gone. And the jailer locked me back up, threw me back in there, and said, "You know, you helped him escape." And I'm like, I didn't know he was going to leave, you know. and so the trustee says, Crowfeather didn't know about that. Crowfeather didn't know about that. And I was like, I played the role, and they let me go back up top. And I came back out, and I seen a phone. And usually they listen to your phone calls when you're in the jail part. But yeah. I seen a phone in the side office, and I jumped on it real quick, and I called my sister Lorraine. Shout out Lorraine. I said, "Yo, sis, come." I said, "You gotta come get me right now." She said, "For real?" I said, "For real." Boom. And so I get back on top of the jail, right? And I'm watching, I'm looking out, and it's just like Powwow Highway, because my sister got a hoopty too, right? Hey, I seen my sister's car come pulling up like that, and I told the Lake She, we say uncle is Lake She's uncle in Lakota. I told the Lake She, I said, "All right, Doak Shaw, see you later." And I jumped off the top of the jail into a pile of snow, started running. My sister's boyfriend opened the back door, flung it open, and I dived in. And we headed out. I escaped. I couldn't go back to Sisseton for 10 years. But it was okay because I was locked up the whole time. But I go back over there, and I just had to pay a little cost. They let me go, or they wiped out my warrant.
Damn.
But I escaped from jail, and there goes a little wild story for you guys.
Hey.
That's dope as hell. So where does the nickname Big Boob come from, bro? You said you started off as Little Boob.
Okay, so my name is Reuben, and they would tease me. The kids would call me Reuben, Boobin, the big fat Doobin, Boobin, Reuben. You know how kid talk is, right? I had an auntie, my Auntie Rose. Shout out Auntie Rose, and she would call me Booby, and it was a term of endearment. You know, I was like 8, 9 years old, and she would call me Booby, and you know the older cousins heard it, and they started calling me Boob, and they would tease me, and they would call me Boob. You know how it is in the hood or the reservations. Everybody has a funny nickname. You know what I mean? And so I became Boob, and I started out as a kid. I was a skateboarder. I was skateboarding hard. So as a skateboarder, we naturally go into tagging. We go into tagging, and I started tagging Boob. And I started putting it everywhere my tag was up. One time my mom, shout out my mom, Debbie. She said, she put her head down, she was crying. She said, "Everywhere I go, I see your name on the wall." and everyone knows it's you. I was like, I was just in the tagging, you know. And so and then so later on in life, you know, I became big. And then I got big and I got huge. Then they start calling me Big Boo.
Damn.
So I got the name Big Boo. But
Hey.
my brother Joey wants me to tell a story, a good story.
All right, brother.
I
Let's
want
hear
to I want to apologize to my girl. I want to apologize to all my family for telling that story.
it.
You're gonna have to bring me back for a second episode or something.
Hey, we got you anytime you want, brother. This is going amazing, man. Tell us
All
the
right,
Iron
so
Man story.
let me tell you a little something. Okay, so let me get back to my story.
Yeah.
So at 21, after I escaped from jail, I just seen that, you know, I felt like nobody was there for me. My sister Lorraine was there for me, so shout out my sister Lorraine. I love her so much. You know, she helped me escape from jail. But all my life, I hated what alcohol did to our community. I hated what alcohol did to my family. My father, he started out just like any other regular young Lakota man. You know, he's a basketball player. You know, shout out my dad, Larry Crowfeather. He's alive. He's with us today. He's healthy. I'm thankful. Um, but at the time, in my teenage years, he went from, you know, drinking at the basketball court, you know, to becoming an alcoholic. And so through my dad's alcoholism and, you know, all the things that I was experiencing, you know, everything that I saw was like alcohol related and you know, had something to do with the alcohol, um, the violence, you know, everything that the alcohol did to us. So I was really a strong opponent of alcohol from the very beginning. I just hated alcohol, what it did to us. And I would go to the parties and hang out when they were drinking, and I would get, you know, people would be like, you know, why aren't you drinking? Here, drink this. You know what I mean? You see it all the time with the peer pressure that goes on, and you know, people would, you know, say mean things to me. You know, like, you think you're Wakan, you think you're sacred, or, you know, they knew I was into the spirituality. They knew I was into the ceremonial life, and some of them, you know, would try to bully me. But I had some sisters that really stuck up for me. So shout out to my sisters, that said, leave him alone. He's different. You know, let him be. But I made a commitment to Tunkashila. I went to at the Sundance. You know, I was praying for my father. I really wanted my dad to break his addiction. I really wanted to have my dad in my life. I really wanted my dad to break free from the alcohol. And so we took him there to Crow Dog's Paradise, and we brought him there to the Sundance, and I pierced for him. I sacrificed for him, and it was a very, very big prayer. You know, and I made a very strong sacrifice. And from that next year on till this day, my dad has been sober. And so, you know, I really, I'm really thankful to Wakantanka that he answered my prayer for my father. You know, to this day, my dad, he's been sober now. That was 1993. So 2001, 2021, do the math. My dad's been free of alcohol that long, and so these commitments that I made to never drink, I would tell people around me that, you know, the first time I take a drink of the alcohol, that's how I felt about it. You know what I mean? Like, um, I felt that I kind of almost spoke those words into existence, and I was feeling down and out. I was 21 years old. My family was falling apart. You know, I don't want to go into further detail. You know what I mean, about my situation, but, you know, my kids' mother and I were just wasn't working out for us, and um, she was keeping my kids from me and things like that. And I felt so low because all I wanted to do was be a good husband to her. All I wanted to do was be a good father to my children. All I wanted to do was break the stereotypes and break that cycle of alcoholism in my family. And one night, my spirit was so low, I was so depressed that I was going to kill myself. And I took my first drink of liquor, and it was a tequila sunrise. And I had seen all the ugliest things that alcohol, that comes along with alcohol. I witnessed all of it. My dad beating on my mom. You know what I mean? My dad being beaten by the police. Fighting my dad, my own self. All these things that I was going through. And I really don't want to throw no shade on my dad, because I love my dad, man. But it was the alcohol that was causing all this chaos in our lives. So I threw all the shade on the alcohol. But what happened was, I felt so low that, I was going to kill myself. And we know how high our suicide rates are amongst our young people. And myself, I've always been a very serious person. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm usually going to do it. And so that night came, and I didn't, I was going to kill myself. And I took my first drink of alcohol. And it didn't make me feel the way I thought it was going to make me feel. It lifted me up at that time. It made me feel good. It tasted good. You know what I mean? It was like, oh wow, this is what it feels like, And I made it through that first night. But when I woke up the next morning, I felt so much lower than I felt the night before. I had broke all my commitments to Creator. I had broken all my commitments as that I had made for these prayers that I had made. I felt like I just felt worse, and the suicidal thoughts came back. So I drank again, and again the next night, I I I drank again, and this went on for about 3 months. And in that first week of me drinking, um, one of my real good friends who I'd been raised with since preschool, um, is drinking with my cousin, who's like my closest cousin. He's born January 10th. I'm born January 13th. Same hospital. We both go to Little Earth. We're raised up all our lives together. My cousin Gene Parker, rest his soul, um, they were drinking together, and my friend ends up beating up my cousin Gene and throwing him in a garbage can. They're drunk or whatever, and they the cops find my cousin. They bring him home to my auntie's house, and they didn't take my cousin to the hospital that night, and his brain ended up hemorrhaging. And so for those of you who know anything about head injuries, if you go to sleep, chances are you're not going to wake up. And so my cousin was on life support for, I believe, about 12, 14 days, something like that. It's been a while since that year that happened. And he passed away. And our role in the community at the time, we would go to all the funerals and sing for all the funerals. There's always funerals at Little Earth. And so we learned the protocol, the songs to send relatives on their way. And when it came time for my cousin's funeral, he's my brother, my cousin, my bro. I was drunk. And this all happened in the first week of me drinking. And my older brother, Marlon, who passed away, rest his soul, wouldn't bring me to the funeral because I was drunk. And my auntie, my family, everybody was waiting on me to come and to help, and sing these songs and do what I needed to do for my cousin. And when I didn't do those things, it made me even feel even more worse. So my spirit went lower and lower and lower, and I was suicidal, and I was totally out of character. I was super depressed. It took me about 3 months before I got myself into a treatment center. Mashkawa's treatment center, and I take me to Mashkawa's treatment center, and Um, I get kicked out because I wouldn't admit to being a gambling addict. They sent me back on the streets because I wouldn't admit that I was a gambling addict. You know, I went there crying for help, I need help, and I didn't get this help. And so I ended up going back to the streets. I ended up um, putting myself in very bad situations, and I became suicidal with my actions. I started challenging, a lot of the gang members. I came back to Minneapolis, um, and like I said, I hadn't joined the gang, right? But the gangs, they were my both sides of the gangs. I grew up with them, and they were my friends, and they were my family, and I knew these guys. But one gang, the NGDs, they wanted to hurt me. They wanted to kill me. They wanted to take me out because I was constantly giving them a hard time. And the older brothers of mine who were the other side, I'm not going to say their name, protected me. And they said, no, he's with us. You can't touch him. And so it was through the protection, the gang protection, that I was given protection, and I was able to, to be a part of the community safely, because in our community, everybody's affiliated one way or another. And so um, it takes me about, I end up going to treatment again, Keystone treatment in Canton, South Dakota, at the age of 24. And there at treatment, I completed my treatment. I put myself in a halfway house, and there I learned the tools that I needed. I got the support that I needed. I finally got some sobriety, some me time. I finally got back into the lodge. Ever since I started drinking, I started trying to hide from Tunkashila, from Creator. I was ashamed of myself. I was really having a hard time, and I was 24, 25 years old at the time. And so at the time, the community, I got my sobriety, and I was doing really good. I was doing really good. And at the time that there was young leaders in our community. I gotta give him a shout out. I gotta shout out Gordon Reese. He's a young leader in our community, who is sitting in federal prison right now, like a 45-year prison sentence. But this young man was so intelligent and ahead of his time. He had worked out a peace treaty between the gangs. And so shout out to the other leaders that were involved with that too, who made this peace treaty. And within this peace treaty, in our language, we say Wola Kota. They were able to stop the violence in our community. Like I said, in 1996, we had the highest murder rate per capita in the country. And so it was a very violent time. You had brothers who were members of the other gang. You had one brother that was on this side, you had another brother on this side. In the community, the gang members, lived across from each other. It was so close that it was like, we lost a lot of youth. We lost a lot of youth to prison. We lost a lot to the grave. You asked me earlier about, you losing, did you lost friends and people that you grew up? In our Little Earth community, they're breaking into clusters, and I'm from cluster 5. It's called cluster 5. And in that cluster was all the young gang leaders would come from right from where I'm at. I could give some big shout outs, man. I gotta give a big shout. They're in prison. They're in prison for life. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, brother.
we grew up as family. No, I would never want to incriminate myself or incriminate anybody else. You know what I mean? But telling the story is big. And my brother Wambly MacArthur, who committed a violent act at the ages of 15, 16, he goes away for 10 years to prison. He comes home, so he goes to prison, right? In our square that we live in, I could name 1 to 2 people from each unit, from each house, that was either murdered or killed somebody. You know what I mean? There's no place in the United States. I'm not trying to glorify it at all, but there's no other place that I've ever experienced. Maybe Chicago or someplace. You know what I mean? Where the amount of violence and of murder that was taking place. In Canada, it's all about stabbing, and they're stabbing each other up in Winnipeg. They're stabbing each other. But in South Minneapolis, man, rest in peace. A 14-year-old was murdered not even 10 days ago, shot in the face. And the crime is still going on over there at Little Earth. It's a very, very dangerous place. Not it's a very, don't get me wrong, it's a very great place also, but just the violence is carried away, and most of it's alcohol related. And so I'm involved, with the streets, and those my brother Wambly had gone off to prison, and so a lot of these young men, these young boys, they were never exposed to spirituality. They never, they never they didn't get to go to Crow Dog's Paradise. They didn't get to go to the reservation and experience a sweat lodge. They didn't get to pray with the sacred pipe. They didn't get to do those things. And so they had no sense of spiritual direction. And so once the brothers start going to prison, they're they're exposed to sobriety, because the first time, that they've had some sobriety, they're around older native role models who are very spiritual in prison. In prison, they have the lodge, they have the pipe. And so these young men were beginning to learn about the pipe. They're beginning to learn about the lodge. They start wearing the medicine pouches. Like I said, when the Vice Lord gang had come into our community, it was a black gang. And so once the brothers start, I told them from the get-go that, they came to me like to join the gang, and I told them I'm a Lakota. I pray to Tunkashila. They were literally praying to Allah. These young native boys were literally praying to Mecca. If you know anything about the Muslim faith, it's a Muslim-based gang. They stopped eating pork and they started saying Assalamu alaikum. It was crazy. And so I told him, I'm like, man, I'm a Lakota. I pray to Tunkashila, man. When we have our own, then come holler at me. You know it, right?
Right.
And so they do, and they come holler at me. And Gordon Reese, he what he wanted was the same structure. He wanted structure for our community, and that's what we want. Not today. We still want the same structure. We want accountability in our community. We want to be able to walk freely and without worried about random acts of violence. You know what I mean? And that's what comes with structure, accountability. In our olden days in the village, they had structure. You know what I mean? They had people that if you did wrong, you would be punished for doing that wrong. And so they made this structure, and in prison they have the structure is a chief, a war chief, and a pipe carrier. And so these brothers, they're older than me. They come to me and they tell me this. They said, young brother, they said, we took it to this level. They said, we want you to take it to the next level. And that level was spirituality. That's what they wanted. And I had been sober for a while, you know what I mean? And that's what they wanted. And the government took those young leaders, and they're gone. And so I was the next one on their list to come, and I was the one that was. I've always been against the sale of drugs. I've always been against the sale of cocaine, meth, crack, all those things. I sold marijuana. Yes, I sold marijuana. You know what I mean? I sold a lot of marijuana. You know, that was you know, I believe in marijuana. I believe in the medicine. You know, my clientele were elders. You know what I mean? I grew up with you go back to the American Indian movement, they all smoked marijuana. They all smoked bud. Everybody smoked bud. You know what I mean? It's like you're a special person if you don't smoke marijuana. I mean, I don't smoke marijuana today, but you know what I mean? So maybe I'm special. But so throughout everything that was going on, you know, I got the Fed's attention, you know what I mean? And they've been watching us, you know, they've been watching us since the American Indian movement days. You know, the federal government was established to incarcerate Native Americans. The federal prison system, that's what it's all about, you know, and that's what it's been about. And so in 2004, I get raided by the gang strike task force. They come after me. They arrest me for 14 grams of marijuana and like 6 grams of hash. And they were my girlfriends at the time. You know, it was her marijuana, it was her hash. And they charged me with 3 firearms that were her firearms. And they were like some unloaded hunting rifles from her ex. And they were like a antique gun they charged me with, right?
Damn.
And so I'm telling you, a half ounce of marijuana. And so I end up pleading guilty to that, trying to take the weight from her, like, okay, she's gonna be okay. I'm gonna plead guilty to this little bag of marijuana. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they end up giving me 2 years in the county jail, right? So I go sit a year. They give me 2 years, stay 1 year. And so I sit a year, and then I get out, and 3 months later, the feds come and they indict me with a conspiracy to distribute marijuana, and I get shipped off to federal prison. Okay, so there's so much I say about my story with the federal indictment. You know, first of all, I don't want to glorify any kind of street lifestyle. I don't want to glorify prison lifestyle. I don't want to do that. But in 2004, it was 2003 that I quit smoking marijuana. I quit drinking. I said if I lose my life to the streets or to prison, that I was going to be in my right mind when that happened. And so I go up on the hill in 2004. I go up on the Hamblecha. Creator, Wakantanka, I want to live. Please show me a way. Help me to make it out of this mess. So I'm back to my spiritual self, and I'm doing real good. And then 2 years later, the feds, they come and they indict me. And so now I get shipped off to federal prison. And I get to federal prison, and it's full of Native Americans, to say that much. You know what I mean? It's a very violent place. It's there's not too much I can say about it. And I really didn't want to get into these stories like that, but here we are. And so so for anybody watching this and they think that crime pays, or you don't have to go to school. When you get to prison, you have to go to school. You have to get your GED before you can make a pay grade. So I went to Oxford. I go in there. I come into the prison system. There are no Native prison gangs. They don't exist. So for those of you who are watching this and you think you're going to be a gang member and you go to prison, you're going to rep your set, it doesn't work that way. Either you're riding with the Native car, or you're on your own. And you don't want to be on your own in federal prison. You want to be with the group. So when I get there, I go to the chief and I say, hey, I'm Crowfeather. I'm Standing Rock, Lakota. These feds gonna say I'm Native Mob. I'm telling you, I'm not. I'm here to do whatever you need me to do. And so everything was really good when I got there, like in a bad way. You know, it's good. I don't want to say, you know, like, you know, it was I was talking to my mom last night, and I was like, I don't want to make it seem like it was like it was so easy. But I believe through my prayer that everything was just going the way it was supposed to go. I know everybody's prison experience isn't like mine, you know, and I believe that's through my leadership qualities that I have. You know, I'm not a follower. And when I got there, you know, I put some strong leadership down. I end up getting to come back to, I end up getting my GED. I like to tell this story because I hadn't been to school in like 10 years at the time. And I used to laugh, and I was sober, and you know, I didn't smoke marijuana, I didn't drink, and my mom would tell me, you should go back to school. And I would just start laughing like it was the funniest thing in the world. Like go back to school? Are you for real? Like I did not want to go back. It was funny to me. Yeah. School wasn't cool for me at that time, right? But I ended up getting my GED, and I ended up getting a perfect score on math, and I got a perfect score in science. And the prison at the time had been open for like 35 years, and the guy running the education program was there since the beginning. And he tells me that that's the first time anyone has ever gotten 2 perfect scores on a GED test, right? And here again, I'm sitting in the visiting room with my mom, and my mom puts her head down and she's crying, you know, and I'm like, Mom, what's wrong? And she said, no, they know you're a criminal genius. And I was like, okay, Mom. So anyways, I get to, from my points get lowered from my GD test, and I get to go to a low. I'm a nonviolent offender. You know, I've never been charged with a crime of violence. So I get to go to a low, which is in Sandstone. It's in northern Minnesota. And I'm excited because I want to get closer to my family, right? And Sandstone is like probably like an hour and a half from Minneapolis. You know, it's really close. And so I get to Sandstone, and I walk into Sandstone, and it's like crazy, man. People are smoking cigarettes, people are smoking weed or drinking. Right when I walked in there, like introduction to the unit, I'm like, this place is crazy. It's different. It was different than Oxford. Oxford was like they were telling on each other for the smallest things. They were telling on each other. I gotta plug in my phone. And they were telling on each other over there, and they'd have in prison they make hooch out of like ketchup, they make it out of fruit, they make the hooch out of different things, right? And at Oxford they didn't even have ketchup on the line, right? So I get to Sandstone, and they're drinking, they're smoking weed, they got cigarettes. It's wild, right?
Yeah.
So this is my first summer in prison, and so I want to share this story because shout out to my brother Joe Rainey. He's watching this. He says he wants me to tell the Iron Man story, so I'm gonna do that real quick.
All right, give it up, bro.
Okay, so one of the things, one of my gifts, I thank Creator for my gifts. My gift is to run, and I could run like the wind. And true story, in 9th grade, I was the fastest in the Twin Cities. And I the Twin Cities freshman meet, I won by 20 seconds. Damn. So I was literally smoking everybody. and hence I never had a juvenile record because I was gone. I was fast. I was so fast, and I started running. Billy Mills used to come to Minneapolis, and they would have a 10K race, and I started running those 10Ks when I was like 10 years old, and I went out and I ran 6.2 miles without stopping, and I won my age group every year until I went to South High and I joined the cross country running team. So, anyways, I've been at Oxford, and when I got to prison, I had an injured wrist, and I had an injured wrist, and I was like, I couldn't do push-ups. I couldn't even barely lift the bar. And Oxford was one of the few prisons that had weights, and so they had like huge weights, dinosaur bones, and they had brothers in there benching 600 pounds and lifting 1,000 pounds, deadlifting. You know, it was like crazy. These guys were just superhuman in there, bro. And I get in there and I can barely push the quarters up, 5-pound plates. I'm starting from the very bottom and then tumbling, you know, because I was injured, and I had this. I was like, man, I can't, you know. A lot of our young people don't go in the gym because they feel their strength isn't adequate, and they're embarrassed, and they don't want to go in there and start at the bottom. You know, that's a big thing. And so, but at Oxford, I was running, and I was running like 10 miles a day, and I was just running was my freedom. Running was my medicine. Running was everything. And at Oxford, I had a Arabian brother from Minnesota who I was running with. And this guy was ripped, and he was super strong, and he could run like the wind. And I would be racing around the yard. And some days he would be pulling me, and some days I'd be pulling him. But I get over to Sandstone, and there's about a good 120 chiefs there. And in the federal system, they call us the chiefs. And so, you know, those are fighting words in the streets, right? Those are fighting words, you know, hey, chief, you know, those are fighting words, and, you know, before prison. But in federal prison, that's what they call all the natives. They call us the chiefs, right? Mm-hmm. And so I get there, and it's 4th of July weekend. And they have the strongman contest, right? The strongman contest is who has the strongest bench press, who has the strongest deadlift, and who has the strongest squat. And then they add up all the numbers, and they become the strongest. You know, they get the title of the strongman, right?
Right.
Well, they have another event. It's called the Ironman. And so the Ironman is it's an endurance competition, and I'm only telling this because it's a good story. And my bro Joey told me to tell it. So this is my first time on a podcast, so I get to share that with y'all. You guess this is the first time. This is it.
Hey, that's love, brother. Let's go.
And so this Ironman contest is held July 4th, and it's the only in Minnesota. It's only hot for like 2 weeks out of the summer. And so the Ironman contest, the prison yard is shaped kind of like this garbage can right here, right? And it's not like an exact square, right? Right. It's like I'm gonna go like this. I can't do that. Well, anyhow, it's a rectangle, right? And I'm gonna show you. So around the prison yard is a track, and it's about 10 feet wide, and it goes all the way around the prison yard, right? And in either corner is a softball diamond. And so the prison yard is so wide that the center fielders don't even come near each other, right? So it's a big yard. And if you're to go around the prison yard, it's a half mile plus just a little bit more to make a half mile, right? So it's basically a half mile around the prison yard. And one baseball diamond on this side, and then another one on this side. I can't show my things, but I can't show you the prison yard, but
That's all right. We'll visualize.
so at the home plate on the first baseball diamond are two 120-pound dumbbells. So if you ever picked up a 120-pound dumbbell, you will know that they're heavy. They're super heavy, right? And so the beginning is to take the dumbbells first base, second base, third base, and back home, right? Then you go to the track right behind the dugout, and there's a wheelbarrow. And in that wheelbarrow, they have two 100-pound plates. No, four 100-pound plates and two 45-pound plates. And so there's 490 pounds in this wheelbarrow. And so you can imagine the wheelbarrow is it's nothing. It's flat. And you got to push this wheelbarrow the length of the track, right? That doesn't work. I wish I could flip my camera around. I don't know how to do that.
Click the middle button, I think, and then see if it goes around.
Am I paused?
No, you're good.
No, bro, you're good.
Oh, it says pause on my thing. So anyways, you push this wheelbarrow. It's probably about 120 yards,
Damn.
you know, to get to the next station. And the next station, you got to do a little balancing act. And then you got to, I wish I could turn my phone around. How do I switch this phone around?
Look, go like this. See it on that phone? Hold up. Ooh, you can't see my text though.
I can't even see me.
Slide down on your phone and then put it sideways. Put the unportioned lock like that and put it sideways. You should be able to see everything. And then stick your phone sideways.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it, bro. But anyways, so once you get up to the next corner, you drop the wheelbarrow. You got to do a little balancing act across a bocce court. Then from the bocce court, you go to a volleyball pit. And you got to go army crawl, elbow, knees through the volleyball pit. And then at the end of the volleyball pit, you have somebody hold your feet while you do 25 sit-ups. Then from there, you run to the next baseball diamond. And at the home plate is a 150-pound sandbag. And you got to pick this sandbag up, touch it to the ground, touch it to your shoulder 10 times. Whack, 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 whack. And then from there, you go. I wish I could show how it works. So anyways, you go to the next corner. You got to pick up the 150-pound sandbag. Then you go to the middle of the next block, and you pick up 255-pound dumbbells. You take the 55-pound dumbbells, and you run them towards the next corner. And I wish I could show this because you got to see how it is. You're going around the track, and when you come to the next corner, that's where all the natives are at. They have a sweat lodge there, and so there's a small fence there, and all the chiefs are standing on the fence, and they're watching everybody come by. And from there, you run all the way back to the beginning behind where you start at the home plate, right? So it's one whole lap around the prison yard. And
Right.
if you look, say like the shape of your phone, the long lengths they're probably about maybe 150 yards. It's a long ways, and so it's a half a mile round, right?
Right.
And so, as the chiefs in the federal prison system, man, they want to win everything. We want to win everything.
Yeah.
We're trying to win that strong man. We're trying to win the baseball, basketball. We're trying to compete hard. And shout out to all the brothers I did time with, man. I hope they watch this YouTube here. They can vouch for me on this one. And so we had about 20 chiefs go out for it that day. And there was about 45 people that participated in it. And in prison, there's for the most part, they're not drinking and drugging like they do on the streets. They're not having sex. they're training 2 to 3 times a day. You know what I mean? They're going hard in there. The athletes are super athletes up in the federal prison system, man, for real. There's a brother, his name Burden Ground from the Crow Nation, and he had won the Ironman 2 years in a row prior, right?
Right.
And so Burden Ground, he was a little bit shorter than I am. I'm 6'2", and at the time I was probably about 230, 235. And Burden Ground was a little bit shorter to me, but he was stronger to me. And you know, because I watched him. I know how strong this kid is, man. This young man, and he's a very serious young man, and he's out now. So shout out to Burden Ground, man. You know, he did a lot of time, and so Burden Ground, he finishes his go at it, and it was a 6:09, and he did all this in 6 minutes and 9 seconds. And we're like, okay, he's the guy to beat, man. Burden Ground 2 years running, right? Here, some a white boy comes out, and he's a Christian, and he's a little bit smaller than Burden Ground, and he comes out and he does a 5:57, beats Burden Ground. All the Chiefs' heads went down, man. Like, dang, man, got beat by this little white boy, man. Hey, the Christians threw him up on the back of their shoulders like he won the World Series. You know, you're seeing. Hey, burritos came flying out, pops, bags of chips. Man, they were celebrating like they were so happy. They were so happy that this guy beat Burden Ground, right? And I'm kind of animated, right? And so some of the brothers were sitting over there by me, and I told them this. I said, some have strength. Some have speed. Some have heart. I said, only the Iron Man has it all. And I was second to last to go. And I had watched all these guys do their, give it their best. And all of them had got to the sandbag on the other side where you start, and they had to stop. You know what I mean? They had to stop and rest. It was just too much for them. And this is my first summer in federal prison, and so I had this is my first year in federal prison, right? And I've been participating in the Sundance ever since I had sobered back up again. You know, when I was drinking, I stayed away from the Sundance. I didn't go. But when I sobered back up, I was back out in the Sundance circle. I was healing. I was becoming spiritually strong again. I was doing my thing. And so here on this day, my sister Kara, shout out my sister Kara. I love my sister Kara. She was actually sundancing in South Dakota on a very hot day. And I talked to one of the relatives, and they were like, yeah, your sister's praying for you. And, a lot of my relatives, had been praying for me and sending word about, prayers for me. And, it was, I got a lot of love out there, so shout out to all my family. And so I get ready to do my thing, and I go to prayer. And I said, Tonkash le wakantaka emichichu. I said, Woyukilena. I said, I give myself to you, Creator. I said, this is my offering. I said, everything that I have, I'm gonna give it to you right here, right now. When we offer prayers, we in Lakota way, we go out there, we suffer, we go without food, we go without water, we pachloka, we pierce, we really give all our everything we have, we give it to the Creator. And so I made my prayer, and this is what I was doing. This was my offering. And so I get to the home plate, and on either side of the softball fields, there's blocking the track is fence. There's fences, so like the foul balls don't hit people on the walkway. And so I had people in the bleachers. I had people in the along the fence line. People were out there watching. And in the other side, on the other softball diamond at the sandbag, there was people over there watching. And then they were watching over on the other corner by the lodge, right? And so everybody was watching. You know what I mean? I felt like Tupac, all eyes on me. Bird and ground just got beat. You know, I knew I was, you know, I was like, man, hey, you know what I mean? I was like, here we go. And so I went up to the plate. And so a lot of the guys were little, you know what I mean? So some of them had to take one plate at a time and run around the plates and come back, drop one plate, get another plate, go around. Some guys were big dudes and they carried them around there, you know what I mean? But by the time they got down to the end with the 500-pound wheelbarrow, the wind was out. They were strong, but they didn't have the wind, right? And so I get the 120s and I give a big old hoka, you know what I mean? Hoka, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like I would do at the Sundance, you know? And here I picked them up and I flew around them bases so fast. I felt like LeBron James. Boom, I dropped them when I came back in, and I could feel it. And it was like, boom, you know, and I got to the wheelbarrow, and, you know, people were watching when they seen what I did with those 120s, and people were already yelling like, go Rube, go, you know, it was like, you know, there was, you know, encouraging me. And so I take off with the 500 pounds in the wheelbarrow, and there's a Blackfoot brother from Brownie, Montana, Sheldon Minicky. Shout out Sheldon Minicky, man. I've never seen him since I've been out, so hopefully he sees this, man. He was there witnessing this, and he was running alongside me. Come on, Crowfeather, you got this. And so I booked down the track with the 500-pound wheelbarrow. I get to the end of the wheelbarrow, put it down. I didn't drop it. If I would have spilled it, it would have been over. You know what I mean? You got to pick them up, put them back in there. You know what I mean? It's really hard to balance this 500 pounds. So I put them down. I get on the bocce track and I do my balancing act, go across that. I run to the volleyball pit. You know, it's a good sized volleyball pit. You know, it's a good distance if you ever play volleyball. You Canadians play volleyball. I know you do. And so I army crawled through there. I got to the end, and Minicky was there, and he held my feet, and I knocked out my 25 push-ups or sit-ups. Boom, 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 boom. I jump up. Boom, I'm gone, running to the next home plate. Now, there was like a whole group that were following me around, but Minicky was the one closest to me. I took off, and they couldn't keep up with me. I was gone. I get to the 150-pound sandbag, and this is what broke everybody else off, right? And so I get the sandbag, and I just squeeze it, like I just manhandle it, and I just whack, 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 whack 10 times, and on the 10th time I put it up high in the air, and boom, I slammed it. You know how, you know, you can see it and visualize it. I slammed it over my head. Boom! Dust flying up from the home plate, right? And I'm gone. I get to the 55-pound dumbbells. I pick them up. Now I'm heading towards the third and last corner. And right there in that third corner is a wooden fence. And along the wooden fence, it's the other side is our Hoini teepee, our lodge. And all the native brothers, all the chiefs are on the fence, and they're akishai, they're war whooping. Come on, Crowfeather! Come on, Crowfeather! And I hit the corner, and I started swinging them. I started swinging them dumbbells, and I broke into a full run with those dumbbells. And I ran. It's a 2 softball field length, so I'm talking about 150 yards easy. And I ran full speed with these dumbbells. I get to the finish, boom, drop them, and I start doing my key shot. I war hooped, and I start doing my dance, my victory dance. You know what I mean? My powwow dance, like, you know what I mean? And it just like that, I fell like that. They caught me, I fell into them bros' arms. They're holding me up, and they said my face was blue, and my lips were purple, and I gave everything that I had, and as soon as I caught my little breath or whatever, you know what I mean, they were all around me, and I just killed all the Christians' hopes. I smoked the Christians' hopes, and I said, "What I win? What I win?" And the OG at the time, who had the yard, he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "Young brother, you won everyone's respect." And I said, "I'll take that. I'll take that." And so I ended up winning the Ironman competition. And so
What was your time?
Burning Ground's time was 6:09. The Christian boy was 5:57. Guess mine.
5:45.
5:30. 5:15.
4:48.
Bro.
4:48. I said I was the first one ever to even break 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Those OGs had been there for a long time, and so from that, I went back to my unit. Remember, I just came from Oxford, and some Hasapas, some blacks were coming into unit, and they were saying, "Who won the strongman?" They were like, "Oh, so and so won it." "Who won the Ironman?" They said, "Man, some chief got off the bus and whooped everybody." And so I kind of made a name for myself at that time. And when I first left Oxford, the older brothers there, they told me, they were like, "Go over there and take it over." I'm like, "What do you mean take it over?" They're like, "Go over there and be a leader." You know what I mean? The older cats over, the older bros, they must have seen something in me. They told me to go over there and take it over, and I was like, "No, I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying not to." They already got me pegged as a gang leader. You know what I mean? I'm trying to break that. I'm trying to break that. I'm not trying to be a gang leader. I'm not trying to be a gang member. I'm not trying to be none of that. And so when I got there to the group, and they were having leadership issues at the time, my name got nominated right away. They're like, Crowfeather could be the chief, and Crowfeather could be a pipe carrier or war chief. They were selecting offices, and they were selecting people to hold these offices. And I told them, we got there's probably at least 60 brothers all standing in the circle, and they're making a decision on what we're going to do. We got 120 chiefs in there. That's a lot of chiefs in one prison. You know what I mean? That's a lot. In the federal prison system, they try to split us up, and they don't try not to keep us in too high a numbers. You know what I mean? Because too many chiefs can be a problem. But I eventually end up taking the position. I ended up becoming the chief with the permission of the elders. I became. You call it, people on the streets, they will call it a shot caller. Even in prison, they'll call it a chief or whatever. And I didn't think of it as either one. I'm not a shot caller, and I'm not the chief either. In our Lakota way, we have, Itancha. And Itancha can be translated like to speaks for the people. So I would say I was more of a spokesperson. You know what I mean? I was a spokesperson. And so if you had a problem with one of the if a non-native had a problem with one of us, they would have to come and talk to me. If any of the brothers had issues amongst each other, they could come and talk to me. I was a peacekeeper. You know what I mean? I wasn't a shot caller. I wasn't no. And so when I took this leadership role, it put me in a good position to help all the younger brothers that were coming into the prison system at their worst time. in their lives. Thank you, Mom. They were coming into prison, and that's why I say my prison time wasn't like other people's prison experiences, because for most prisons that you go to, you're going to have somebody that's sending off the young people, into violent, senseless acts. You know what I mean? Um, they're in, people want to make a name for themselves by hurting somebody. People want to make a name for themselves in a negative way. And so I was put in a position where I could put the young guys in check, for one, and tell them, hey, the way you make a name for yourself here is to have respect. The way you carry yourself here is going to determine, how your life goes from here. And under our leadership, you're not going to be just acting any old way. You can't steal. You can't run up debts. You can't be disrespecting people. You can't be disrespecting yourself. And so I told them the way you make a name for yourself here is by being out there for that fire, building that lodge. The way you make a name for yourself here is working out and being an Iron Man, and being the best you can be, being an athlete, you know what I mean? And so I was at Sandstone. I was able to do a lot of really good things. We would have a pipe ceremony on Wednesdays, and we have a lot of people will come for the pipe ceremony. On the weekend, we would have the Inipi ceremony, and the Inipi ceremonies were powerful, very powerful. We're like a bunch of monks in there, you know what I mean? Praying hard every day. And myself, I was one of my responsibilities as a Itancha was to make sure that all the elder people that would pour lodge, they got their turn in the rotation. 1 week we would have a Lakota. 1 week we would have uh, uh, a Crow. 1 week we would have Anishinaabe. Different tribes have different ways, and we would allow them to run the ceremony in the way that they ran it. Um, um, so this is going into my full story here, that I really wanted to get into.
Yeah, brother, let's do that.
And so from that Ironman, I became, I became a little cocky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, okay, this is, and a few days later, I made a horrible decision. I had been sober for a few years at that time, and I was, for some reason, it was a full moon. It was a full moon. And we get crazy on full moons, right?
Hey, that's where babies happen, bro.
Not in prison. And so I came back. I was going to the shower when I was going to go to the shower, and one of my little bros was sitting there in his house, and I went to check him out, and he speaks Lakota, and I'm like, he was drinking he had a sports bottle, and it's Minisha, and that's how we say wine in Lakota. And I said, let me check this out. He said, Hedger Schneel. He said, this isn't for you. He said, this isn't for you. And I was young, and I was like, man, give me that. I said, you don't tell me, what's not for me or whatever. And so I grabbed a sports bottle, and I take a whiff out of it. And it smelled pretty good. And so here I took a sip, and man, it tasted good. And it was hooch. It was hooch. And prison wine. And next thing you know, I was sitting there, sipping on the wine, and here they call a count time. And so count time, you have to go back to your house, right? So I go back to my house, count time gets cleared. I go back to my little bro's house, and we begin drinking again. And he said, he told me in Lakota that Chunk Sayuha was coming, that a CO was coming. And so I got up, and I walked out of his I walked out of his house, and because you're not supposed to be in anybody else's area, after count. And so this is in a low, so you don't have cells in a low. Oxford, you had cells, but in a low is like dormitory style. You know what I mean? And so I walked back to my house, and I just so happened to walk back in the direction of the Chunk Sayuha, of the cop. And I go into my house, and I have some clothes on my bed, and I'm sitting there, start folding these clothes, and here the cop comes over to me, and he's looking at me, and I kind of give him a head nod, and waited for him to take off, but he didn't go anywhere. He stood there, and he goes like this, and he has a breathalyzer, and so I'm like, I blew numbers. I'm like, oh, he's like, you better come with me, Crow Feather. So he takes me to the office, and I didn't argue with him, nothing. I go in the office. They end up cuffing me and taking me across the compound to the lieutenant's office. And I'm walking across the compound, and I'm looking up at the sky, and it's a full moon. And I looked up, and I laughed at myself, and I knew Tonkashi looked just like that. Just I knew it just like that. I made a poor decision. Nobody forced me to drink this, and I knew better. And so this is my first time getting in trouble in prison. In prison, they call it a shot. If you get any kind of if you break any kind of rule or you get any kind of trouble, it's called a shot. And it's a 100 series shot. They have different series, like a 300 series, 200 series, 100 series shot. And so this is my first time getting any kind of trouble in prison. I've been down for a year. And I go before the UDC, which is the prison court system. And I've seen people take swings at cops. I've seen people beat up other inmates. I've seen them shit on themselves, and you know what I mean. Like, and they didn't get in any kind of trouble. Maybe a month or a couple months of restrictions. You know what I mean. It wasn't too heavy. It wasn't that serious, right? And I had talked to one of my buddies, and he had been caught drinking like twice, and it was no big deal. So if I had thought it would be a big deal, I probably would have thought twice before I did do what I did. But anyhow, I go before the judge, and I end up getting 30 days in the hole. I already sat 7 days, so I ended up sitting a total of 37 days, of which I had a cap on one of my wisdom teeth back here,
Yeah.
and it fell off, and I was in the worst pain of my life. And whenever anybody goes to the hole, they're crying to get out of there. They don't want to be back there. Every excuse in the world to get out of there, they'll try to use it. And they were not letting me go to the dentist, and I was eating so much ibuprofen until I was getting sick. And for those of you, who the shoe is you get 2 showers a week, and you get 45 minutes of rec, and when they do take you to the shower, you have somebody in the cell with you. They cuff you both up together, and they walk you to the shower, and you got to shower together. And and it was summertime. It was hot. And I go before the judge, and they took my commissary for 365 days. So for 365 days, I couldn't go to the store. For 365 days, they took my phone. So in the federal system, your phone calls are made by a voice activation, and every number has to be pre-approved in order for you to call a number. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you, bro. Just the camera died out. We're good.
Okay. And then for 365 days, they took away my visits. And I'm like, wow, I'm here for marijuana. I said, are you for real? I said, I told him, you guys are heartless. I said, I said, you're going to do this to my kids? You're going to do this to my family? And here I am talking to them about doing that. But it was me who made this poor decision,
Yeah.
But so this was 2007, and that was the last time I've had any kind of alcohol in my system.
Hey.
But it cost me,
Right.
365 days. I couldn't touch my mom. I couldn't touch my dad. I couldn't touch my children. For 365 days, I couldn't call them. And so, prior to my incarceration, I told my family at the time, I said, it was a 6-year sentence, but I had already sat a year in 2005, of which I got like 6 months credit for.
Right.
And so I told my family, I said, it's only 5 years. I said, in these 5 years, I said, this is going to be my humblecha, or I'm going to go in there. And, I had a lot of anger in me. I didn't speak about a lot of the gang activity that I left out.
Yeah.
But, going back to the gang activity, the peace treaty that the young people had, the peace treaty was broken with the murder of my baby cousin. And my baby cousin was a member of the gang, and they shot him down like a dog. And at the time he was living with me, and he's my baby cousin, and I love him so much. He's like I watch, ever since he grew up, he's like a son to me. I'm always like in a fatherly role or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they shot him down like a dog. And when they did that, I went on the warpath. I went on the warpath, and I had a lot of anger in me. And so my prayer was that when I came home from prison, that I could let go of this anger, and that I could be myself again, that I'd have peace. And so when I went in there, I went real spiritually minded, and from the beginning. And what did it humbled me. It humbled me so much. And it showed me how my poor decision affected my family. Especially my children. To not be able to call my daughter, to not be able to call my sons. Not to be able to see my mom or my dad or my loved ones. It was tough. And I believe, the federal government been trying to break our spirits. You know what I mean?
Word.
And I was determined not to let them win.
Yeah.
And we had a program in there for pipes, people in prison entering sobriety. And so I went head into the sobriety movement. I went, I swore off getting into any kind of trouble. You know what I mean? I couldn't get in any kind of trouble. I still was doing dirt though. But I mean, not doing dirt, but I mean, like, I really didn't want to get in trouble. But as a chief, there was a couple of times where I had to, handle business, and it is what it is,
Right.
But I took those risks regardless, and I ended up knocking out my prison time. And I gotta give a shout out to Lewis Winters. They call him Boy. He's from Pine Ridge, but he's a OG, and he had just came from Florence, Colorado, and he came to Sandstone. And right away, I wanted to, I was like, I don't want, I didn't really want to get in trouble. I'm trying to go home. He's an OG. He's a real leader. And I'd be like, I try to give it to him, like go ahead, bro. I said, I'm getting ready to go home. And he told me, no, young brother. He said, that's all you. He said, you got that till you walk out this door. And so, they even have a movie called Snitch, and that movie, and that the guy was the shot caller of Sandstone Prison. And I really was able to do really good things. I kept the peace. We brought everybody together, the Paisas, blacks, Serenios, Norteños, white boys. It was really good. And they say after I left the prison, it went to shit. But I believe that was through spiritual leadership.
Yeah.
It wasn't I wasn't a shot caller. You know what I mean? Everything was spiritual. And I got to talk to the young brothers, and I told them, the energy that we create here, our family members can feel it. My dad would tell me, that prayer transcends any distance, and through our spirit and through our spiritual connection with our family, if we're doing positive and we're doing good, our family is going to feel that. And if we're in there, we're just raising hell, living any old kind of way, guess what? Our family is going to feel that too.
Yeah.
And so I was very spiritually minded about it. And I'll share a true story. And you could say not that waka, but my last lodge before I was leaving, um, we went out there and we built a fire, and I offered that tobacco to the fire, and I lit that fire, and we looked up like that. It was December, and 5 eagles came, and we're right next to the gym, and so not too much higher than the gym. 5 eagles came down, and they danced around us. They danced around us. All the men looked up. There's about 10 of us, and they were looking at it. They're like, they were amazed, and I was amazed. But I knew right then at that moment that what I was doing was right, and that I was going to be okay. And
Yeah.
so I came home, and I really had my prayer was answered. I had found Wolakota. I had found peace in my spirit. I had found peace in my heart and peace in my mind. One of the prayers that got me through. I gotta shout out my ate Harold Condon, my Hunka father. He's a full-blooded Lakota, but he's also a deacon, and he would send me letters and the most intelligent, intellectual, spiritual letters you could imagine. My dad would send to me, and one of those he sent to me was a prayer, the prayer of Saint Francis, and what it said. One of the lines was, "To forgive is to be forgiven." And so I had to forgive myself, first, because I had a lot of self shame, from the shame that I brought on my family, the shame, my kids having to deal with in my incarceration, not having a father, the shame of drinking and losing my phone for a year, losing my visits for a year, the shame, that I brought on my mom when I made her cry, for writing on the wall and for being a criminal genius. But so I got to come home, and I came home and I enrolled in Minneapolis Community Technical College, and I went right to school.
Damn.
And remember, I used to laugh at the thought of going to school, right?
Right.
But here I am. I'm going to. I'm going to school.
Yeah.
All right. And so before I get into, I really wanted to talk about present day, what we're doing today.
Yeah, brother. Let's do that, man.
But I want to finish off a couple of things.
Yeah, we got you. We got you. Take all your time, brother. We're just loving. We're loving listening right now, man. This is great.
So I come home, and before I had went to prison, I had got my my traditional outfit together. And in my incarceration in 05, there was a Hasapa there, and he just came home from a 10-year sentence, and he was really focused. And he had asked me, he said, "Reuben," he said, "Boob." He called me Boob. I wasn't big Boob yet. And he said, "Boob," he said, do you know the difference between a dream and a goal?" And this guy was so focused. He just came home from 10 years and he was ready, man. He was super ready. This man was focused. And the only reason why he was in the county jail with me was because it was his halfway house. That was like his pre-release. So I got to, he blessed me with so much knowledge and understanding in a short 4 months that it was crazy. And, but he asked me, he said, Reuben, do you know the difference between a dream and a goal? And, I like to think I'm intelligent, and I gave him my answer. And he said, well, yeah, that's a good answer, but I can make it a little bit more easier, more simpler. I can simplify that for you. He said, a dream is something that we think about that we wish we would happen. And so this is Ahasapa talking to me. In our Lakota way, we have sacred dreams. It's a little bit different between a dream and a goal. So I'm not trying to take away from the sacred dream. He said a dream is something that we think about. We wish it would happen. We wish it would happen, but we're just thinking about it. There's not much action there. We're just dreaming and it falls into our lap. He said a goal is something that we work towards, that we're working towards. He said a goal, if you write it on paper, he said it becomes real. He said you can touch it, you can see it, you can change it, it can grow. And I was like, wow, okay. And ever since I was a youth, when I was young, I used to. I have two uncles that passed on now, rest their souls. My uncle Wayne and my uncle Winfield, and they're Wachiwichasha, traditional dancers, and also Floyd and Herbie Hand, traditional dancers in Minneapolis, Lakotas. And when I was a little kid, we had all the little traditional powwows, and I'd be following behind them in their footsteps. And, I had this, just some moccasins, a beaded belt. I never had a head roach. I had a little bustle. I didn't have really, fancy outfits that you see people wearing today. I had a real humble outfit, and I would follow in their footsteps. When I got to about 11 years old, I wanted to have a nice outfit, and my mom told me, she said, no one's gonna bead you an outfit. You're gonna have to bead your own. And so I started beading my own outfit. I had learned to peyote stitch. I had learned to flat stitch. I had learned to loom bead. And so I started beading my own outfit. And at the age of 12, I grew 9 inches, 13. I grew, I went from 5'2" to 5'11" in a year.
Damn.
And so all of a sudden I got these big feet and I'm tall and I couldn't get nobody to bead me any moccasins. I couldn't make moccasins, but I had made my armbands. I beaded my cuff, my leg bands. My outfit was looking good.
Yeah.
But I put away my dream of being a traditional dancer, and we of course we sat at the drum, and we'd sit at the drum and we'd watch all the dancers dance by, and we wish man, we wish we had an outfit, man. We'd be dancing out there, and we'd be sitting at the drum, and the boys would be like, oh man, check him out, he's pretty cool, man, it's good, good dancers. We grew up around a lot of champion dancers, and I'd be like, man, I'll tear him up. And my brothers would look at me and be like, yeah, right, man, you're gonna tear them up, man, you're crazy. And I'm like, no, for real, I'll tear him up. And the next time I danced, I was 18 years old. We went down to Hollywood, Florida with my uncle Dave White, and I danced in my uncle's outfit. I was 18, but I danced in teens. So I was dancing in teens, right? And I got second place, right?
Hey.
I hadn't danced for like 7 years at the time, and I got second place. I won like $500 or whatever, I won some money. And I hadn't danced ever again. And in 2004, my uncle Wayne, he passed away. He went on to the spirit world, rest his soul. And I knew at that time our family it's a tradition. You know what I mean? We come from in our family. That's what a tradition is, a dance that's passed on, something that's passed on. And so I knew it was real important that I kept our crow feather name in that circle, to represent. I mean, my uncles had been representing all this time, and so I knew that it was my time to come back. So I get out of jail, and I'm like, I want to turn my dream into a goal. And so I wrote Wachiwi Chasha on the top of a piece of paper. And then I started listing all the things that I needed to get to achieve my goal. I needed a head roach. I needed a bustle. I needed beadwork. I needed bells. I needed breechcloths. I needed powwow shirts. I needed angoras. All the things that I needed, because I could work towards this goal. I mean, it's never going to fall in your lap. I mean, those things just don't happen, and they take time. And so, I reached out to my Dekshi Nathan Smith, and I asked him, to help me, to beat me outfit, and he did. And so, for anybody in Paul country, they know that Nathan Smith is a champion dancer. He's a great man, and he blessed me with this beautiful beadwork. And then Lekshi Terry Fiddler. If anybody knows who Terry Fiddler is is a champion. He's the champion. You know what I mean? Right now, in the men's traditional category, and he blessed me with the bustle. And so, man, I got my outfit together. I got out of jail, and I got my sobriety, and I got my outfit together. And so I come back into the circle, and my cousin who got murdered happened to get killed at the Lower Sioux powwow in Morton, Minnesota. And so 4 years later from his murder at the same powwow where he was killed at, I came back out. And so it was real spiritual for me. I wanted to dance for my little cousin. I wanted to dance for the community. I wanted to heal. It was so spiritual for me. It was very spiritual. And at the time, I got the law enforcement are all over me. They're taking pictures of me in my regalia. They're following me around. You know what I mean? It's like, it was very hectic, if you ever watched a movie about how the feds work, that's really how they worked with me. They had a 5-year investigation, and they would just pop up on us and just start taking pictures. And I'd tell people, you guys just joined the gang. Because, they're racial profiling everybody around us, right?
Yeah.
And so, like I said earlier, I never joined the gang, right? I was born. You could say I was born into my community. I never joined the gang, and the only two individuals that ever asked me to join this gang are both federal informants. And so, that's what the feds do. They use our own people to take us down. They use our own people to control our community. They do all. That's what they do, brother. How you been? And so I came out into the powwow circle, and I'll tell a little story about that. The first contest powwow I go to is Hinckley powwow, and Sandstone Prison just happens to be like 10 minutes from Hinckley powwow. You can literally hear the powwow on the weekend of the powwow. You can, if you listen closely, you can hear the powwow. Anybody up in northern Minnesota knows how close Sandstone and Hinckley are.
Yeah.
And the first powwow I went to is like I went out there and for one, I had been sober now for a couple of years, and I removed myself from all the other situations I had previously put myself in. I wasn't in the bars, I wasn't in the parties, I wasn't anywhere. I was running, I was immersed in the culture, I was immersed in the ceremonies. I was doing really good. I was healing.
Yeah.
And so I go to Hinckley powwow, it's like everybody in the world that I grew up with, they're all there, and they're watching me. They all know me, and again, I feel like Tupac. Again, all eyes on me. They're like, "That Reuben's out there," you know what I mean? And again, I'm getting laughed at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're laughing at me like, "Who's this guy you think he is?" You know what I mean? He's just gonna go out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's dancing, and they see me all wild and my partying days, and
Yeah.
here I am now. I'm out there dancing and I'm sober, and they're like, "Wow, this guy," you know. It's funny because I'll tell this story here. Shout out to Battle River Singers. Um, it was Sunday, and they they gave us a double beat song, and at the time we had never danced to a double beat. You know what I mean? As traditional dancers, back growing up, we never danced to a double beat. That was a crow style dance, right? And so the crow style dance is that's they're toka, they're the toka, they're the enemy. We don't dance their style.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm out there and I'm trying to dance. I don't know what to do. I'm looking at the sidelines, and my bros Kevin and Kevion Kingbird, they're at their drum, and they're sitting there trying to show me how to do it. And so I'm sitting there trying to do the double beat dance. I'm embarrassed, and I'm like, man, I was shamed out. Like it was really embarrassing.
Yeah.
But people were laughing at me. I'm sorry. I'm sure somebody got it on videotape somewhere. But the next part I go to is Prairie Island, and man, I go over there, and man, I'm dancing hard. I'm dancing hard. I'm going for it, man. I'm lining up. I'm showing them my number, like, pick me, man. You see me jamming, and I really thought I had a chance. And here I didn't win. So I was like, okay, all right, I felt kind of bad. I go to another powwow with Post Falls, and I put on 2 sets of bells. I got my cowbells, and I got these big round bells. I call them cheaters, and I'm out there and I'm dancing hard again. And then here I didn't win again. So I'm feeling kind of, like, man, but it's not about winning, but I'm trying to win. You know what I mean? When I put my best foot forward, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And so here I get to the next powwow. It's a Nishla powwow in Wisconsin Dells. And Wisconsin Dells, it was a hot weekend. It was at a heat index, real hot heat index warning, And so I was out there dancing, and a lot of times I was the only one out there dancing, and I did my thing, and there was a lot of champion dancers there. And here, when it came time to call winners, I'm standing in the back with my brother Hollow. Shout out to my brother Hollow, and my brother Tanner Albers. Rest in peace, brother. Wichak Zita. We're standing back there, and here they call 5th place, and it wasn't me. They called 4th place, and it wasn't me. I said, oh man. And 3rd place, MJ Bolbear, and MJ is our champion of the Lakota Nation. He's the champion of the Lakota people, and he's one of my close brothers, really good friend of mine. And I put my head down. I was like, I asked Hollow, I said, bro, you go get my stuff. I don't feel like going up there, man. I feel kind of shamed out, right? And so 2nd place, that the MC slows it down, building up suspense.
Yeah.
2nd place, Ardell Scalp Lock. And everybody knows who Ardell is, right? Everybody knows who Ardell is. He's the champion. And I'm like, man, I gave up. You know what I mean? And I wasn't even thinking of nothing, I just gave up, I wasn't even thinking like who's left, And then here they get to the MC's doing his, like building up suspense.
Yeah.
And then here they say it like this. And your champion. We're sitting there listening. Alakota from Minneapolis, Reuben Crowfeather. I was like, hey, my bros start hitting the horns. Everybody start hitting the horns. And I just jumped up and I ran all the way out there and I ran all the way around the arbory, the Bari, the old ways, you go all the way around. I ran all the way around and I came and I, started shaking hands. And back then they had the winner's circle. Nowadays they just have like the winners from that category go shake hands, they take a picture and walk off. But before, all the champions, all the winners would shake hands, right? Bring that back, even besides COVID. Bring that back, man. At least give daps or something. And so here I had won first place, and I was like, everybody in the line was like genuinely happy for me, and they were giving me so much love, and I felt so good, and I felt there was just the greatest feeling right at the time, you know what I mean? And I felt like I was winning, you know what I mean? Like, in life, you know what I mean? I went from before I quit drinking, I got up to like 300 pounds. I was fat. You wouldn't even recognize me if you seen a picture, right? You could probably look on my IG and you would see a couple pictures of that where I was 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And, once I, sobered up, put down the marijuana, quit drinking, I got back into running. I dropped down. I went from 300 pounds to 209 pounds.
Damn.
And I looked like people thought I was on meth. They're like, how'd you get so skinny? I didn't have muscle at that time yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't big boob yet. I was big boob and I was fat, but then I got real skinny. I looked like bobblehead boob. And so I ended up winning another first place, and then I ended up going to prison. And so in prison, I was telling them like, yeah, I'm a traditional dancer. They're like, yeah, right, yeah, okay. and I would show them like, this is how I'm gonna do it. I was envisioning how I was gonna dance and how I was gonna do it, and I knew that my life was gonna change. And so when I came home, the very first day that I got out of, I was released. It was June 10th of 2011. When you come home from the feds, you have to do 6 months of either halfway house or home confinement. I got on home confinement, but I got sent back to the halfway house because I got caught with a cell phone. You can't have a cell phone, you know what I mean? And so the day I get out, June 10th, 2011, I go back to the Lower Sioux powwow in Morton, where my cousin had been murdered, where I had first wore my regalia before I went to prison. 5 years later, the very day I'm getting out, and when I couldn't even get out of the vehicle, my mom and dad came over, and my girlfriend at the time cussed me out like, get out of there. And I was so shell shocked, you know what I mean? Like, I was at a powwow finally. And, to be incarcerated for 5 years and then, try to, come out it's a little bit nerve wracking. But I put on my outfit and I got dressed, and I came into grand entry, and after the grand entry was over, my son told me, he said, Dad, he said, I'm not saying this just because you're my dad. I danced around, came by the drum, the Iron Boy drum. My brothers were sitting there, got a shout out Big Mac, rest in peace. My brother Wombly, rest in peace. My uncle Ernie Running, rest in peace. They were all three were there, along with my brothers, Opie Day, Joe Rainey, my little brother Tanch, and a couple other But I came around, and my son was like, Dad, I'm not saying it just because you're my dad, but when you came around, he said, all you could see was you. I was like, wow. I was like, for real? He's like, for real. And so I entered back into society, that at that time. And I came back as Wachiwi Chasha. I came back in the drum. And that first weekend, I got in a tie for second place. And I won the tie. And since then, I went on. I think one weekend of that summer, I didn't place. Every other weekend, I placed everywhere I went. And since then, this is 10 years since then. Now,
Yeah.
since then, I've traveled Indian country. I've been honored to be selected as a champion at United Tribes. Shout out United Tribes, home of the champions, international champion, traditional dancer.
Hey.
I won in 2018. I won the Gathering of Nations world champion men's traditional dancer.
Yes, sir.
So I've been able to do that up until this point. And in 2015, our drum group won the world champion singing contest. And also in 2014, we won at United Tribes. So within 6 months, we had won the international singing championship, and we had won the world championship within a 6 month period. So we're really rolling. And there at school, when I first came home, I was studying music because I had built a studio prior to my incarceration. I was trying to make a recording company to record roots, right? But the feds that came in and tore all my stuff to pieces and kind of dampened my spirits in that realm. But I went to another passion of mine, and that is addiction studies. And as a young person, like I told earlier,
Oh, damn. We lost him. Hopefully he'll be right back, man. That was getting great, man. Thank y'all for sticking by. We still got a little time to go. I know he's gonna come back
longest episode yet, I think.
Yeah,
man.
bro, but
it's lit, bro.
Yeah, bro. This is so interesting, man. I don't even want to speak right now because whatever is coming out of that guy's mouth is just pure fire, man. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's so genuine, bro. It's interesting, and like you said, man, like I don't have anything to say. I'm just soaking it all in, man. And
yeah, bro,
like it's so inspirational too, especially how he's saying like how he never touched alcohol, right? And then he did, and then just the way he explained it, like his first drink and then his second drink, and just for 3 months, it's humbling. It's very humbling because that I could very well be in the position that he was in, right?
Right.
But like just him sharing those words, it makes me second guess everything, I guess. And yeah, I know it's dope. It's so dope. And the like the story of him coming back to dance, bro, it's so good, man. It makes me want to start dancing again. For real. Like
no cap.
If he could come back and do that, then why can't we? You know what I mean? Like I stopped dancing as a young boy, and after hearing that, it's like shit. Well, I can start up again. So
yeah, man, never too late. Yeah, I'm pulling a lot from it too, man. It's really interesting when he talks about his, the addiction problems, because I was there before too, and feeling depressed and turning to, the bottle, turning to drugs, turning to things that I knew were bad for me. You can get that from him. He has that self-awareness that I think all of us have, to know that, what we're doing isn't good for us, but there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of trauma. But yeah, man, I'm really hoping that he'll get back in here. I think his phone died, so we'll give him a minute. Thank you guys, like I said, again, for sticking in so long, man. We definitely don't want you guys to go anywhere because we're sitting here like sponges, just soaking everything up. Yeah, man, there's so many good stories in here, and I'm just excited. Hell yeah, my back is a little sore though. I'm getting old.
Our long backs hurt.
Yeah, man. No cake in Cree country, man. Straight Bannock. Hey, y'all see the little humble background behind us? That's this is actually taken in Sweetgrass First Nation. Me and River put the teepee up ourselves, just in case y'all know.
In case you don't know.
Yo, anybody that wants to help us out, that wants to support us, We don't ask for stars. We don't ask for donations. But if y'all can, cop some merch, man. We got hoodies. We got the hats. We got everything for you guys, man. So just hit us up and we will get you some merch. Sweats. Should we do a baby line? No, I think Treaty 6 got that one covered. We're gonna stay out the baby game, but go check out Treaty 6 baby.
Treaty 6 baby line.
Yeah, bro. No cap. It's actually happening, bro. Hit Twist. Man, I heard Twist talking about that the other day. What are you guys doing? What's everyone up to tonight, man? You guys just chilling out this Sunday evening? We want to know what you're doing too, man. Let us know.
Oh yeah, bro. I guess an announcement here is I think I'm gonna move over to Facebook Gaming for my stream.
Hey, there we go. So anyone that is currently on Twitch or watches River on Twitch, hit him up. He's gonna be doing Facebook Gaming. It sounds like.
Yeah. I'm gonna be streaming a lot of I guess just me chilling out on evenings when I get time off, finish my assignments, come hang out. I'll just be playing like Warzone with the homies, or also might be playing a little bit of NBA 2K. I've been playing some Apex, some Fortnite, even though I'm absolute buns at it. It'll be a good time and just come hang out. But I know I'm gonna have to be a bit more respectful on a stream because the games where I go to express myself sometimes. So I ain't afraid to swear a bit on there, but I'll definitely be more aware of everything going on when I stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, be sure to come check it out.
Bro, you know what's one thing I took from him, man, is I gotta write stuff down, bro. I really gotta write my goals out because there's some things that I'm really excited about. Yeah, after I finish that is actually no cap there. I don't know if y'all can see that. We'll go ahead and pin that comment after he finishes his assignments. Oh, hold up. All right, there we go.
Send it to that number.
All right, 1 second. We're gonna be doing something real quick. We're gonna get Reuben back on, man. Give us 1 second here. You wanna? I think I already got it emailed too. Give us 1 sec. We'll get Reuben right back. Thank you guys for hanging on with us so long as you have. Hold up. 1 sec. Sorry, guys. Man, y'all are dope for sticking around for so long, man. I love it, man. Reuben is amazing, man. So we got nothing but love for him, and we want to hear more stories. So
there's my nephew.
Hey, there's the nephew, Vincent Short, man. Give him go at him on Facebook. He might not add you back. He's a little bougie, but yeah, that's the nephew right there, man. We love Vincent Short, and he does a lot of great work for us. And yeah, he's got merch coming too, so make sure you cop that. What else we got? Oh man, we got the Crime Town background. Check that out. Hold up, I'm gonna make sure this works.
All right here. Screenshot this.
Yeah.
When I pass away, this will be the pic, so I don't have to Photoshop
screenshot it
ghetto
real quick.
wings on us. Word.
Yo, sometimes we play around with a little bit too much. Yeah. Don't take us serious. That's why it is called foxing around. Because sometimes we like to fox around.
Right here, Revenant.
Right here, City Life. Right here, us in the spaceships.
Yeah, Transcending.
Oh, look, there's our logo. Look, that's. Oh, wait, go back. Wait, that's me. That's me.
That's me.
Hey, that's us. Hit it.
And here's where we're gonna live when all the foxing around money kicks off.
Yeah, you'll see two Beamers in the driveway. Us just chilling on the deck like so.
Yeah, little Vancouver housing right there.
Yeah. If y'all didn't know yet, we're moving to Vancouver. We'll be doing this full time together. Oh, there's Reuben. He said, "Send me the link here." All right, brother, we got you.
All right, bro, we got you.
Hold up, we got you.
What is your Twitch name? It is Tansa River. Tansa meaning.
Let's get Big Boo back in here, man. We're probably gonna go another 2 hours, man. This is about to be a marathon podcast we didn't even know we needed. So, hey, and if you can do us a favor real quick, if you haven't already, and even if you have, do it again. Give this video a like and a share real fast. Have you guys heard of All My Relations? Yes, we have, man. We got a little network of Indigenous podcasters. There's All My Relations. There's Call Me Auntie. There's Taylor Begay. There's who else is there? Hot and Greasy. There's like a ton of Indigenous podcasts that we watch, that we support too. Tribes and Vibes. Hey, we got Still Here, Still Healing with Jade Roberts, another tight one. there's a lot out there, bro, and we support every last one of them because that's what y'all need to do. So oh man, the Indigenous radio show, we both went on their show before. They're a father and son duo, Curtis and Chris Standing, I believe, or Corey and Curtis. Yeah. They're their father and son. They kill it, man. And then make sure you go to 7 Stars Media and see the podcast network that we set up, man. It is crazy. Hey, look who we got back, man. Hey, we had to hold the fort down in your absence, brother. You back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Hey, there we go. What happened? The phone died?
Yeah, the phone died.
Hey, been there, bro. All right, where were we at, man? You were just telling us that you went back in.
So this is gonna come back to present day where we're at now.
Yeah, let's do it.
I really was nervous about telling my backstory and talking about prison and doing those things.
Right.
Telling my girl, I was like, I don't want to talk about negativity. I don't want to talk about those things. Those things got to be talked about, I guess. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to hear a story about some guy going to prison, man. You know what I mean? That's where I feel.
Yeah, no. I think it just set a good backstory, and now we can come full circle, bro. That's how you do it, right? The big circle, brother.
Okay, the big circle. Okay, so tonight I'm broadcasting from our chief of chief, Leonard Crow Dog's home here in Rapid City, South Dakota. And as a young person, you know, I as a kid, I got to watch all the AIM warriors at the Sundance at Crow Dog's Paradise. I got to, take part in all the, just watching on the side, and as a kid, before I entered the circle, and as a young teenager, prior to my drinking, prior to my incarceration, I was very spiritual minded. And, like a lot of our young people, even the spiritual minded ones, we fall. We fall to depression. We fall to addiction. We fall to abuse. We fall to the system. We fall, but, do we get back up? Some of us don't get back up. Some of us do, So my story is a story of coming back from suicidal depression. My story is coming back from something, from nothing to something, you know, and from being a fool in the streets and drinking in the bars and acting dumb, right? Just pure stupidity, to taking my spot, where I should have been prior to the alcohol. If I had never drank, then I probably would have never learned all these powerful lessons, these tough lessons that I have learned. So I have to accept it that Tunkashila, put me on this path, and I'm thankful that Tunkashila allowed me to come back. And so that year when I came home in 2011, I humbled myself, and I came back. I came back to the paradise, and I came to Chief Crow Dog, and I told him, "Kaka, I'm home," and he was happy to see me. And the next day, we lined up. We lined up to come into the Sundance, and there's a lot of dancers. We have a very big Sundance, 200 plus dancers, and I humbled myself and I put myself all the way in the back, and at the time. Our chief he had a sage, he had a cane. He was walking, he was still dancing at that time in 2011. He came all the way to the back, a long walk to the back, and he came and he got me. He told me, Takoja Hill. And he took me and he put me in the front of all the dancers. He put me in front of all the chiefs. And it was very humbling. And I ended up dancing in that spot. The next year, I humbled myself and I put myself in the first row of dancers behind the chiefs. The chiefs come in the first, and then there's the first row. And I joined the first row of dancers. And as a young kid, as a young child, I used to look up to all those dancers that were in that front row, and I'm like, when I grow up, I want to be strong as them. I want to be like them. I want to be um, spiritual minded, wowash aka, spiritual strength like them. And I had so many great warriors that I came up under at the time, and these guys were all American Indian movement spiritual warriors. Shout out to my uncle Carter Camp, my uncle Craig Camp, you know, just um, Crow Dog himself, and so many others. My dad, Big Joe Gijic, a lot of our sun dancers, and um, I got to shout out Wob Canoe, man. He's probably might take out of his time to come watch this. But if you guys know, I grew up with Wob Canoe. He's pretty famous in Canada.
Yeah.
And so he can attest to all this. And so there at the Sundance, I danced for 4 years. I became engulfed in the ceremonies, going wherever I could help, being asked to go and help different places, different ceremonies, sun dances. I really immersed myself in the spiritual ways of our people. In 2015, I got off federal paper for the first time. I was called upon by my uncle Doug Wiakawaste, and we took the Sundance to Fort Laramie. And Fort Laramie is the site of the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1968. And this treaty guarantees the Lakota people the Black Hills for as long as the grass grows and the water flows, right?
Yep.
All throughout my life, in the ceremony, they had told me to look for Wo Lakota. And I'm like, what is, in my mind, I'm like, what is Wo Lakota? And I heard so many different interpretations of what Wo Lakota is. And I had found this Wo Lakota, coming home from prison, I was just on top of the world, one thing that was a dark in my life, though, was the opioid addiction that my friends and family were experiencing. When I went to prison, they were still just smoking marijuana and drinking. And when I came home, the community had changed, the world had changed, and our people, our young people, our elders were addicted to these opioids. And so at school, like I said, I dived into addiction studies.
Right.
So I started studying to become an addiction counselor. 4 years, we had the Standing Rock situation, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty big, the No Dapple situation, right?
Yeah.
So I'm coming home, and this publication, Al Jazeera, had just did an article on me. And,
Yeah, we saw it.
And this article, they came to us under the pretense that they wanted to ask about organized crime in our community, right? Yeah. They wanted to ask about organized crime, and so I'm like at the top of the list for organized crime, I guess. They wanted to connect me to the native mob,
Yeah.
And somehow I went from number 3 on their list to number 2 incarcerated. So I'm public enemy number 2, I guess. But I was showing them, through all my steps that I wasn't a gang member, and I wasn't involved in gang activity. That's not what I was doing,
Yeah.
And shout out to the other gang members or people who've been in that life, changed their life around. I'm proud of them. And they respect me. You know what I mean? If I was some kind of a dropout kind of bullshitter, they would have called me out on that a long time ago. But came home and I the community, and I did, hard work, you know, and I never had any problems. I've never had any arrests. But so just trying to get to where I'm at in 2011, through the Sundance, I was able um, to help a lot of people, through their Sundances and their recovery, their spiritual recovery. And we were talking about that earlier.
Right.
And uh, a couple of years ago, Ate Crow Dog, I'm here at his house right now, and he's sleeping. He wanted to get on here and say a few words, but he kind of got tired.
Hey, next time, Marilyn.
Yeah, but he had given me a call, and he had asked me, you know, Takoja, he said, "What are your plans for the Sundance?" And at the time, I didn't have any plans, and I told him, I said, "I don't have any plans. That's my grandfather."
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, I want you to help me. I said, yeah, anything I could do to help you. And he listed out the things that he wanted me to help do. And I said, okay. And I went back home to Crow Dog's Paradise, and be a helper there at the Sundance. And a lot of things have been happening since then. I need to probably get some water. There's so much to talk about. And I'm nervous. I'm hot.
Yeah,
But,
bro. Just
shout out to everybody that's watching this, listening. And I just getting up to present day time, and I want to apologize to my family if I make you guys look foolish. You know what I mean? Because like I said, a lot of the things I did, you know, where I was acting a fool, and to get to this point, you know, escaping from jail and stuff like that, you know. But so we get into what's going on today. This past year, we had COVID hit.
Yeah.
Then George Floyd got murdered, right?
Right.
And so I go into Minneapolis, and I'm working security all summer last year. I'm doing my thing, right? We had another big victory, and that victory was the Redskins changing their name.
Yeah.
So we've been a long fight with the American Indian movement in Minneapolis. You know, shout out Clive Bellacourt and Lisa Bellinger and all the other American Indian movement leaders in Minneapolis, and everybody who played a role, you know, in the mascot situation. And a lot of people, you know, that would say, "Oh, it's not a big issue. I don't care about it's not degrading for me to be a Redskin. It's not degrading for me to be a, um, Cleveland Indians. That don't bother me. Atlanta Braves don't bother me. You know what I mean? But for some, it's very real, and it's very disrespectful. And 1991, the Atlanta Braves came to Minneapolis and played a World Series against the Minnesota Twins. And at the time, they were doing the Tomahawk Chop, and they had their song going, oh, you know, and they brought that Southern attitude to Minneapolis and the home of the American Indian movement, and we clashed, and it was racism, big time racism going on, and it got very physical. You know what I mean? It was very physical. The next year, we had the Super Bowl in Minneapolis. I believe it was 92. We had the Buffalo Bills and the Washington Redskins come and play the Super Bowl at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. So we were there protesting again. And that protest was going on for all these last 20 years, you know, 30 years now. Yep, 1991 to 2020. And the Redskins finally announced that they were changing their name, right?
Yeah.
And so, can you give me a miniachi? And we had a victory dance at the U.S. Bank Stadium, You know, we went down there, we set up our sound system, we had a round dance, we had a victory dance right there in the plaza in front of US Bank Stadium. And I kind of had a little vision there, and I was it out, and I was really wondering. I wonder how our elders would feel. I wonder how our elders would feel if we asked them to change their name. I say because the way we look at it today in present days, um, what do we like to identify ourselves with as?
Indian,
Huh?
like Indian.
Yeah, so Indians, everything, right? Even Ate Krodag will say Indian medicine, everything is Indian.
Yeah.
But we're not from India.
Yeah.
We're so not from India. Guess what? Something else is the category for India people got to check their box. You know what I mean? Because they're not Latino, they're not black, they're not white. All the people that are from India are checking that box. And so we're indigenous, right? We're
Yeah.
Native American, we're different tribes, all these different nations. And so I thought to myself, I said, well, I wonder how our elders would feel if we asked them to change their name, you know, because we finally got Dave Snyder, he's the owner of the Reds, finally changed their name. We're like, you know, how would our elders feel, you know? And we know they feel strong about it because I know I was born and, you know, raised within American, and I know they, you know, hamsters are very serious, you know what I mean? And they love their name, and you know, but I'm like, man, it's so outdated, you know. It's a I just know that our young people don't identify as being Indian, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Indigenous is the term that we're using, indigenous, right? And indigenous to South America, Central America, North America. You know, we're not going to argue the name America. You know, the Turtle Island is known as the Americas, whether it's Central America or South America, right?
Yeah.
And so I go to one of the leaders of the American Indian movement. She comes and sees me, Lisa Bellinger. She comes and sees me over at my post, at my security post, and she's coming to ask me for some help. And I'm like, okay, and um, we're talking, and I threw it by her. I was like, well, how would you feel about changing the name? Because she had just been appointed as a national director of the American Indian Movement. And I told her, I said, we could still keep it AIM, but we'll change the Indian to indigenous.
Yeah.
And so she was like a light bulb went off in her head. And she was like, I love it. She said, I love it. And I'm like, wow, okay. I said, could you run it by Clyde one time? Clyde, one of the founders of the American Indian Movement.
Yeah.
He and I have a real checkered history, big time. And we also had made peace. We also had made peace. In that Algiers article, um, Clyde Billicourt was very upset over that article because he felt like it criminalized me. He felt like it criminalized him and criminalized the movement. And that's what they've been trying to do. They've been trying to criminalize us all this time. And like, you know, for my Fed case, you know what I mean? The biggest bag I got caught was a bag of half ounce of marijuana. How does that, you know, count for 70 months? You know what I mean? They're criminalizing me. They never caught me with no gun. They never caught me with no drugs. They never caught me with any money. They never got no evidence against me. The only thing they had was, Crowfeather, somehow you beat this case. We will never stop until we get you. That's what they told me. They told me. And so they're criminalizing us. And so I tell Lisa that, and she's like, and the next time, well, she was asking me for help for a memorial, and so I go to the memorial. I go help her, and Clyde's there, and I beeline. As soon as I see Clyde, I go right to him, and I tell him to ask him the same thing, and I tell him how I feel, and what we feel about this American Indian term. And we feel that we have to take back our own identity. You know what I mean? You know, and
Yeah.
who we are as indigenous people, because you know they what something else. So I don't know if you guys know up there in Canada, but you know here in the United States, the last election, um, they made a list of white, black, Latino, or something else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard about that.
Okay, so we're something else. You seen all something else jokes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But so we're something else. They put us in with the Asians. They put us in with the Indians, red dot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we weren't getting our proper respect and recognition. You know, how we as a people are going to come back. You know, unless we have our own identity. We take back our own identity.
Yes, sir.
So Clyde, he stopped me real quick. Boom, but respectfully, and I recorded the whole conversation. And I asked him if I could record it, and he said, he told me, he said, when we first selected that name, he said the elders, they didn't want to be known as American Indian at that time either, but they ended up, the elders had told him, he said, that's what the world knows us as, the American Indian. So we're gonna go with the American Indian name, right? But we all grew it. We all grew it, and he told me this. He said, "Indigenous lives matter." He said, "Push it." And so the thing so to bring up to speed today, since then he gave me the blessing. He told me push it, and so I came to Chief Crow Dog, and he agreed. And uh, since then, we've seen some other group has the American Indigenous Movement as their name.
Yeah.
But I told him this. I said, we're this movement, what American Indian movement means for me, has never been about wearing putting on a vest and putting on patches and doing those things. The movement is the spiritual movement of our people. The bringing back our languages, bringing back our spirituality. The spiritual recovery of our people. Having something to believe in, right? And so
Yeah.
we I went on the Hamblecha. I went up on the hill for four nights. I prayed for guidance about what we're going to do with this and how we're going to do it. And I was showing some things. And I came back to Minneapolis, and we had a ceremony there. Clyde Bellecourt came, and all the American Indian movement leaders came. And we invited all the young people, young leaders, and they came and they shared their voice about this retiring the word American Indian. And people, back in the day, they thought that we ever win against the Redskins. They thought
Yeah.
we'd ever be able to win that battle to end the mascots and to. So it seems like it's a big thing to do, but what I'm doing is just doing it. I don't go on Facebook and do it, but I do it on the ceremonies I go to. I go to the communities I go to, the young people I go to, I talk to, and just to plant the seeds that this next generation is going to take back our identity
Yeah.
and the spiritual unification of all the nations from Argentina to Alaska, and to um, our Lakota Chokan, our Lakota way of life of prayer, spirituality, has gone. They have a Sundance in Colombia. They have Sundances all corners of the United States, Canada now. Um, and next year we're bringing the Sundance to Alaska.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah, we're bringing the Sundance to Alaska next year. And so we know the history of how our spirituality was robbed from us. And for those who know about, the Freedom of Religious Act in 1978 that allowed us to practice our spiritual ways, in public. I mean, a lot of our young people have heard stories about, how it was before, how, our spiritual leaders were persecuted and locked up and hid away and, all those things. And, I'm not trying to say I'm a saint, but I know definitely that I was targeted by the federal government, you know what I mean? And for my whole community, the ones that all sold drugs and the ones that were all gang members, I was the only one of my generation that garnished a federal indictment. I was the only one. The other ones had little state cases or whatever. But all the guys that were selling drugs in our community, none of them got a federal case. So came to the Standing Rock issue, I had to go underground. Like, I'm not trying to make any waves with these people because they're gonna lock me up. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so yeah, now that's what we're working for, is the spiritual unification, and also for the the borders. The borders. We're trying to wipe out the borders, the border mentality. We look at right now I'm working with the Raices Collective in Santa Rosa, and their Raices Collective is a group of artists, and they're from Colombia, they're from El Salvador, they're from Mexico, they're from California, they're from all these different places. They're not just Mexican. They're indigenous people. They're Otome, they're Chichimeca, they're Azteca. There's all these different tribes that we are separated from. And so I've gone out to the West Coast. I'm working with indigenous people there, and yeah, I've been rambling and bambling. So I'll let you guys.
No, bro. Hey, man. Honest to God, this is your time to shine, brother. I know you don't like being in the light, but we're taking it all in. We don't really jump in when somebody's going like this because there's a natural flow to it. But nah, man, I think so. Where do you see the American indigenous movement moving towards now? What are you working? What's your end goal?
The end goal is to have our youth have a spiritual understanding. You know what I mean? And so we plant the seeds, and in my time as a young person, very few were practicing our ways.
Yeah.
Very few. And then in the 80s, in the 90s, we've seen it explode. You know what I mean? And now in the 2021, you look at indigenous people, where we're making a comeback. We're making a huge comeback. And as far as our ceremonial way of life, you see the girls wearing their skirts, you see the young men, pledging sobriety. And so that's really the spiritual recovery of our people.
Hey, that's facts. I'm gonna go put that up on the board real fast. Hold up one sec. Go ahead, Reuben.
This camera be shifting.
Oh yeah, bro. No, that was I just wanted to say that was a really, really good story earlier. Something that stuck with me since you told it was just how you made that promise to yourself to never touch alcohol, right? And that all changed. And the way you explained it, how you explained that very first day you drank, and then the day after, and like you explained in such vivid detail that like I kind of pictured myself there, because I'm 25 years old now and I've never touched alcohol either. And hearing something like that, that's just like an extra shield for me not to ever do it, just because learning from your story and just how how raw your truth is, and how interesting and charismatic your story is. That's, you already lived a life so that the youth don't have to live it. And yeah, I just want to thank you for that story, because that was really touching. And even when you were talking about going back to dance, because I used to dance fancy as a kid for about 6 years, when I was like 8 till about maybe 13, 14, and I stopped. And then knowing you getting back into it, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, why can't that be me, right? So yeah, it's just very touching to listen to your stories here tonight, and for you to be motivating without even knowing it. You sparked something in me and Ray.
Yeah, bro. As soon as you said write your goals down, I've been having trouble with that because I see the end goal of what I want to do, but I sometimes I forget it, or sometimes I put it to the side, or I don't stay passionate about it. But literally tonight, as soon as we get off, I'm going into my notebook, and that's the first thing I'm going to do is write down my goals and make sure that I got it, because I take something from every podcast, and this one was like, this is the one where I was like, man, I don't even need to say anything. Like, I just sit here and I listen and try to absorb as much knowledge as possible, because damn, bro, there's a hell of a story behind you, man, and there's a where you're going is even more beautiful, man. That's amazing, bro. You're an amazing man, dude.
Oh,
Man. So what, let's see. Hold up. I'm gonna see if there's any questions in here. Maybe we got time for one or two questions real quick. Your boys are in here. Opie Day was in here. Rikishi was in here, bro. They were trying
Jesus
to.
was in here.
Yeah, Dreesus was in here, man. You
Ryan
brought us everybody.
McMahon.
Ryan McMahon, bro. You're the most famous dude I know without Facebook.
hey, check this out.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, right? Because when I came home, I was just clowning around, having a good time, and I started doing these things called a boob tube, and people were like, thinking, "Oh, I inspired some comedians. I know I did." But people were start saying, because I was giving my family a hard time. I'm like, man, you guys gotta, get your. I came home from prison hardened, like real structure and real strict and real, respect is, I'm trying to teach people respect, and they've never been through the situations I've been through, so they could never understand, or you know what I mean. And I came out here, and the lack of respect was just terrible. You know what I mean? The lack of respect for self. And so, I tried to clean up, and people didn't like it. And they would say, well, you're addicted to Facebook. I'm like, what? Turned it off. You know what I mean? I'm like, I turned it off and showed my kids. I'm like, I turned this Facebook off until school's out. And when school comes back on, guess what? I'll turn it back on again. And then I got to the point where I said, they were saying, oh, Facebook famous, and they were saying this, and they were like, I was like, man, I was not to be cocky, but being, I was like, man, I was known before Facebook. I said, I'm going to be the most relevant native without Facebook. That's what I told them. I said, you can have your Facebook fame. I said,
hey, you got the crown, brother. No cap, man. I haven't seen that many comments, that many people coming in and just sharing some, like, there's a lot of good words here. You're a great storyteller. Like all of your bros come through too that probably didn't even hear about it, but there's a lot of people in here.
Oh man, I have the greatest family. I have the greatest family, man, for real. All my bros, my sisters, my companion, my moms, my dads. I'm so blessed. I got Ate Crow Dog, Mom Joanne here. I got my moms and dads back in Minnesota. Wow, I'm blessed.
Hey, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, brother, how about we do this, man? What we like to do is we like to throw you up on the main screen. We're gonna go sit in the background for a minute. Tell the people out there that are watching now and that are gonna watch this, whatever message you want to give, bro, give it out to them, and then we'll bring you back just to say thank you. So I'm gonna put you up on the main screen here. 1 sec.
Greetings, relatives. I want to apologize for rambling all night, and It's hot and sweaty up in the house here, but my message is that I would like to convey is the spiritual recovery. You know, we have a nari, we have a soul, we have a spirit, and there's things that we were given to treat our soul, to treat our spirit, that we can uplift ourselves. You know, and intrinsic motivation. You know, to be able to believe in ourselves is the greatest motivator that we can have. And I know, you know, a lot of our people are going through hard times. You know, we're dealing with all the death from the COVID. You know, all the passings, that all the loved ones that we lost. So that's going to bring it's going to dampen our spirits. You know, it's going to bring spiritual pain. You know, but don't we don't self-medicate. You know, alcohol, drugs, they're not the answer. You know, if you're self-medicating, I'm not trying to judge you. You know, I love you. I want you to to dig down deep, and you have people out here that care for you, and reach out to them, and ask for help. And everywhere you go in every community, there's a fire. There's elders there, and they're just waiting for you to come and just be a part of their circle. You know what I mean? A lot of times, we're ashamed of ourselves for the drinking and the drugging that we've done, the harm we've done to our families and our community. But, our elders are the most forgiving. You know what I mean? So come back to the circle, come back to the fire, stay close to the fire, and, you can make it through these hard times. My message to all my family that I haven't seen in a long time. I love you all. I miss you all. And I'm doing really good out there in California. I'm surrounded by great people. So don't worry about me. We're planning a powwow May 1st. And so look for that. I'll be having a powwow flyer soon coming out. For those of you who want to reach out, I'll be back June 18th at Marty at Galen Drapo Jr.'s Sundance. So for whoever wants to come visit me, I'll be there, and I hope you can all come, and we can make it bigger than the Gathering of Nations. Galen will be happy. But what else? Also, I'm working with the Rice's Collective, Making a Better Sonoma, and we're doing vaccine awareness, and so we're encouraging people to do that and to learn about it, and we're trying to beat back this COVID, and go back to the life that we want to live, the life that our kids, can have a safe life. What else can I say? Hopefully we'll see you all at a powwow sometime next year. Peace.
Hey, bro, man, this was great, man. I don't know how 3 hours felt like 10 minutes, but it did, because it just flowed right by, man. But thank you for coming on, bro. Thank you for giving us your stories. Thanks for, just giving us that wisdom, man. A lot of times we try to do too much, or, we maybe not too much, but we try to come in and, really ask questions. But this was one where I was just like, yo, I just got to sit back and take this in, because there's so much knowledge and understanding, and, things like I straight up, I look up to you, man. That is something that,
oh, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah, those words that you were speaking tonight were amazing. And thank you so much for coming through, bro.
Yeah, bro, for real, man. I just want to say thank you again. Like, Ray's more the talker and the conversationalist, and so I just felt at home just sitting here not having to say a thing. And you really made the podcast a lot easier tonight, man. And we are actually getting a studio out in Vancouver later out this year. So if you ever want to take a trip up to Vancouver and we could podcast in person, bro, we'll have a studio and everything. Then by all means, you're more than welcome to. You can come on again anytime you want, bro. Just stay in touch, man. It means a lot. Okay, yeah, for sure, bros, man. Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, much love. You can come do the boob tube up there. We'll get you going on your own podcast.
What up? Oh, man, I had kids everywhere I went, man. The kids were running up on me, man.
Hey, that's too much. Hey, all right, bro. Much love. We'll connect with you later. Thanks again, brother. Peace.
Peace.
Hey, damn, bro. That was a lot. That was just dope. I don't know how to say it. That was just dope, man. Hey, yeah, thank you again, Big Blue, Reuben Crowfeather, for coming through and giving us all that knowledge and sharing your story, man.
Yeah, I feel like we just scratched the surface with that guy. There's a
Yeah.
lot more I can tell us. And there's even there's a very positive, uplifting, funny side of it in that we didn't quite get to see as much. But
Yeah.
next time, bro, it'll be something different. It'll be a good time.
Yeah. So, if you guys want to support us, buy some merch. That's all we ask. It's gonna be the drop will probably be out tomorrow, or sorry, Monday or Tuesday. Yeah. So check us out on that, man. Other than that, we're doing good. We're feeling blessed. Everything's good around me right now, man. I'm flowing. How you doing?
I'm okay, bro.
Hey,
I just want to graduate, man. Get over it.
Hey, that's facts. That's facts. But hey, and when this studio comes in Vancouver, it's gonna be crazy, man. So anytime anybody's in Vancouver, hit us up because we'll figure out how to do a podcast with you. If you want to come tell your story, come tell it with us. We love hearing. We love learning.
But we can't pay for plane tickets.
Yeah, but
no 1,000 in a room.
Yeah, sorry, you're not 1,000 in a room material. That's reserved for our big brother Jason Chiquita. And shout out Jason Chiquita for all his work that he's been doing behind the scenes. Look at that, man. We look who stopped in. The nephew, Vincent Short.
Nephew.
Go follow him on Facebook. Go follow him on all his socials. Make sure you support that young man. He is amazing.
Yeah, and
go support Haley Rose too. Go watch the Haley Rose podcast every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah, bro, for real.
Much love, Donovan.
Thing, our brother Jason has a new single coming out with Joey Styles.
Yes, sir. And we didn't get to it earlier, man, but today's a very special day for us too, man. We'd like to wish a happy birthday to our brother up top, looking down from above, man. We love you so much, Doug. We miss you all the time, but shit, you're where you want to be. We're good down here without you. It sucks sometimes, but I know where he's where he needs to be, right?
Yeah, bro. He's happy, man, and we'll get to see him again.
Yeah, no cap, bro. I wish we would have got him to be able to jump on the podcast. He always talked about doing it, but that I know he's watching tonight and every night, and he's got the best seat in the whole damn house, bro. So I just wanted to mention him real fast because it's his damn birthday, 25 years old. He would have been at Pink by now, bro. What time is it? 10, 12. He would have been lined up, ready to go with a fresh white shirt on that he probably spilled some stains on. Yeah, something, man. But yeah, we should probably let you guys go because we've taken up enough of your time, man. You know what? I like to leave with, I'm going to start leaving with a quote, man. So my quote is, like my brother Joey Styles always says, man, this is way too trill for the average bear. Thank you guys so much for joining us on another episode of Foxing Around. We'll see you next Sunday. Much love. Oh, yeah. And we forgot to do what we always do, man. Make sure to wear a mask. Make sure to put hand sanitizer on your hands and
wash your arse because I want to go powwow this summer, yo.
Yay. He's coming back. All right. Much love, everybody. Take care. Peace.